afternoon, everybody, and welcome along to the Singapore Sports Hub. We're at the OCBC Arena for semi-finals Saturday. In the Singapore Sports Hub National Open Championships 2021. As you can see, the players just beginning their warm-up for the first of our 5 matches. We're going to be bringing you a semi-final from each of the 5 categories. We start with the mixed doubles before moving on to a fascinating and mouth-watering men's singles semi-final between Jason Tay and Lee Wai Hong, the number 2 and 3 seeds up against each other. Then Megan Lee and Grace Chua in the women's singles semi-final. Then the men's doubles and the women's doubles to finish us off. And I mentioned Grace Chua in that women's singles semi-final. She's pulling double duty today because, as you can see, out on court number 1, she's currently getting ready to take on Danny Krishnanta and Lim Ming Hui in the mixed doubles semi-final with her partner Andy Kwek. This is the number 1 and 3 seeds taking each other on. So we're set for a busy weekend of badminton live on One Play Sports from the OCBC Arena. It's wonderful to have live sport gradually coming back to the Lion City State. And of course, it goes without saying, all precautions have been taken, safe distancing being observed, and of course, no spectators allowed here today, which is why this stream is so important. And a big hello to everybody who's unable to get here but is watching here today. And alongside me to help decipher what we hope will be a brilliant afternoon's badminton is Kang Yang. Kang, great to have you with us here on One Play Sports, and we really do have 5 mouth-watering semi-finals on offer this afternoon.
Yep, I'm very honored to be here to commentate for this event. Yep, there's going to be a very interesting game going on right now between the first and the third seed. And we shall see who will come out on top right now.
Well, you can see there the duo in the orange and blue national jerseys. That's Danny Krishnanta and Lim Ming Hui, number 1 seeds, and number 1 seeds for a reason. They're the red hot favourites to win this. They did come through in straight games in their quarter-final yesterday against Bima Prakoso and Bernice Lim. As always, best of 3 games, a race to 21 in each game. You must win by 2 clear points. And straight away, a high-octane rally to get us underway in the backcourt. Andy Kwek.
Bring the shot.
It's being sent from left to right. That's going to drop in, so they had to play it. Wonderful rally to get us underway. The reactions and reflections from all 4 players on display early on. And it will be first blood to the number 3 seed pairing. Great rally to get us underway, Kang.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Wow.
Reactions there, just dropping in the front of the court to catch them out. So an early 2-point lead for the number 3 pairing. Grace Chua on serve.
Really
that's
aggressive.
A really good cross-court smash, isn't it, from Danny Krishnanta. Unreturnable, that one, Kang.
Yep.
So the number 1 seeds on the scoreboard now. What can they make happen on their own serve? Lim Ming Hui with the smart serve. You can see the power that Danny Krishnanta is bringing to this. That one's going to drop long. We're all tied up at 2 each. It's noticeable that Danny Krishnanta is so adept at sending players from left to right.
Landed right in the box.
Yeah, he's controlling that backcourt for the pairing. And of course, unusually for a mixed double pairing, it's not far off saying that Lim Ming Hui is the taller of the 2 of them. They're certainly a very similar
advantage
height.
over the other team.
And that's 4 points on the spin for Danny and Lim Ming. Really establishing their dominance.
What a flick serve. Caught the opponent off guard.
Great depth on his shots, Danny Krishnanta. That was too strong from Andy Kwek. And again, Kang, these two couples being very entertaining early. Some of these rallies are fantastic to watch.
Yeah, really. It was
Great get there, wonderful get there from Danny. They're so composed, the #1 seeds, and it's a good job that Andy and Grace are doing to stay competitive here, and that was a well 1 point off the Grace Chua shot. And already, Kang, it looks like we could be in for a marathon game here because
yeah, it's a very close game. Looking like it's gonna be a long game as well. Yeah.
they have come through comfortably in their knockout games, the #1 seeds.
Oh.
So we're tied at 6 each. And again, in this first match that's ebbed and flowed, they've left that one, and it dropped in. So that was a rare misjudgment from Danny Krishnanta. And just like that, the #3 pairing, Andy and Grace, take the advantage, but you get the feeling not for long. You can't offer Danny Krishnanta 2 opportunities in a row like that. He's always going to put them away, Kang.
Yeah. The aggressiveness of Krishnanta is crazy.
He's owning the back of the court at the moment, isn't he? It tends to be the way
So,
in mixed doubles.
unforced error.
An unforced error there, an unusual unforced error for Ling Min Kui. And again, just edging in front. Remember, they'll take a break when a team reaches 11 points. But who's going to take the early advantage? You wouldn't want to call it at this stage. They looked a point early in the game where Krishnanta and Lim would start to edge away, but Kwek and Chua have stayed ever so competitive. Wonderful reactions from Krishnanta.
Wow, what a receive.
She did
By
brilliantly
Grace.
there, Grace Chua, to pick that one up. They almost deserved this point, you fancy.
Such a rally.
Wonderful rally. I think that's the longest rally of the match so
Yep.
far. And it's a point that takes us to 8 each. Krishnanta on serve and a service fault. At this level, Kang, that's criminal, isn't it, to give away cheap points like
Yeah,
that?
it's really critical to give up points right now.
Just to let you know, in the other mixed doubles semi-final that's going on court #2, it's Dai Xing Neng and Jing Chong Mok against Terry He and Elaine Chua. The winner of that one will play the winner of this one in tomorrow's final, that you can also follow live on One Play Sports and the Singapore Badminton Association's social media pages. That one drops wide, so it's another point to Kwek and Chua, and they're now just one away from taking the turn with a decent handy lead in a matchup that looks quite closely contended. That one, though, is too good. Catches out Kwek and Chua in no man's land, so they pull back to within 1. And of course, you should also mention, Kang, that Grace Chua is in action in the women's semi-final against Megan Lee a little later on, which will follow the men's semi-final between Li Wei Hong and Jason Tay, which will immediately follow this mixed doubles semi-final. So it's important for Grace. I mean, obviously she wants to win, but she'd like ideally to win in straight games here, a 3-game marathon.
That'll be the best advantage for her to win in the straight game. So she'll be ready for the women's single.
Yeah, long marathon here. Of course, the double jeopardy is that you get involved here in a 3-game thriller that goes over an hour, and then you end up on the losing side. And then Megan Lee, of course, will maybe see that as an opportunity. So, be interesting to see.
As quick as possible, Grace should take over this game and get a win.
They've got the early advantage here. They lead by 2 points at the midway break. Remember, it's a race to 21 for those of you not familiar with badminton, in a best-of-3 games in all formats. Unlike tennis, where some of the doubles games are shorter than the singles, it's all the same here. All best-of-3, 21. And if you are keen on what you're seeing here and want to get involved in badminton, don't forget to check out the Singapore Badminton Association social media channels and find a court near you where you can play. It's one of the most popular pastimes in Singapore, isn't it?
Yep.
Badminton, hugely popular.
Vastly played in the public, vastly played by everyone.
Look at the power he's showing here
Wow,
again. It was
by
just too
Danny.
good. And it was ironic, wasn't it, that it was Grace Stewart that managed to get 2 of those Chris Nanta smashes back.
Yep.
But it was Andy Quek who eventually got unstuck. So 12-10 now. Chris Nanta on serve. Oh, wonderful.
Wow, wonderful
The
smash
return
by
of serve.
Nanta.
Not strong enough, and dispatched with disdain from Chris Nanta to pull them within 1. They came through in straight games yesterday in their quarter-final, but there were 2 close games. They won 17 and 19 there. Just get the feeling they're about to turn on the turbo, the #1 seeds. They've now, just like that, in the blink of an eye, got it back to 12 each. And Chris Nanta serving is bamboozling them. Andy Quek was quick onto that one. Grace Chua from the backcourt. Improvising well. Oh, look at that backhand.
Right, fast
Reaction
rally.
time so fast
Wow, what a
from Chris
interception by
Nanta.
Danny.
Having to work hard for this point though. Oh, wonderful.
Caught the net.
Wonderful rally. And it was an important point you felt there for
Great.
Quek and Chua to win.
So far, it's new biting.
It certainly is a close one, Kang, isn't it? And
Yep.
you can't help but think, psychologically, it's incredible in badminton at the very highest level, how many times you see a doubles pairing, or even in singles, the player that wins the first game, it's not a give me that they'll go on to win the match. It's a game of psychology to a certain
There's a way a
extent,
comeback
badminton.
story.
So it wouldn't be a disaster for Chris Nanta and Lim to lose the first game, but you feel it might be a little bit harder for Quek and Chua to come back from a game down. But it's Quek and Chua.
There's definitely certain pressure.
Into the net. That's an uncharacteristic mistake from Andy Quek, really. He's entitled to get there. And now gap down to 1. I don't think either team's had a lead bigger than, I think 3 points is the biggest lead we've seen. What was it, 11-8 at the turn? That's about the biggest lead we've had for Quek and Chua. Certainly Chris Nanta and Lim have never led by more than 1 in this game. Sending it deep into the court, Lim Min Kui. Feathered that over the net,
Right,
did
aggressive.
Grace Chua. And then they found the perfect part of the middle court that left Chris Nanta and Lim uncertain of which way to turn. So we get to the business end of this first game now, and all of a sudden the 2-point lead looks slightly bigger than it would have done at 11-9. 15-13 is a different kettle of fish. Look at the reactions from Grace Chua.
Wow, great reaction from Grace.
She got
She
two
got
of those
2 of those smash
Chris
back.
Nanta smashes back, didn't she, Kang?
Yep, great reaction.
I didn't win the point though, so Chris Nanta and Lim, is this where they turn on the turbo and take control and charge of this first game? Nice delicate touch from Quek. Great reactions from Lim Min Kui.
Wow, what a receive by Grace.
They're going to the well plenty here.
Oh.
Quek and Chua.
Wow, what a judgment. It's up.
In this game for the most part, but their defence has seen them move to within 5 points of the first game, and it was, I'm not sure whether there was a deliberate leave, but it dropped long nonetheless. Danny Chris Nanta, he is a high-octane, all-action player. Oh, lovely cross-court, just too good. Grace Chua unable to pick that one up, and again, the gap is just 1 point, and that was an demonstration, Kang, wasn't it? That Danny Chris Nanta's got an all-round game. He's not all about power. He's got a delicate touch when it's needed as well.
Yeah. Min Hui to serve.
You get the feeling now, having led for the majority of this game, it's very important for Quek and Chua to go on and take it, because Chris Nanta and Lim just have hung tough all the way through. And this point will now level it up at 16 each. Chris Nanta too strong, and they've been on court for under a quarter of an hour, but you can already see it's 31 points of badminton that's taken its toll on all 4 of them at the minute. And remember, Grace Chua, we'll see her in action in our 3rd game on #1 court against Megan Lee in the women's singles, so she's got a busy afternoon. Potentially, she could be in 2 finals tomorrow as well, so that could be 4 high-quality games in 24 hours
Yep.
for the number 3 seed in the mixed doubles and the number 2 seed in the women's singles. Quick and Chua still just keeping their noses in front here. Big serve this for Andy Queck.
One mistake by
And
Danny.
it was a service error at the worst possible time. There's been a couple of those, one from each of the pairings in this opening game. But when you're the number 1 seed like Chris Nanta and Lim is, what gets them to be number 1 seed is coming out on top in tight games like this when they trail for the most part. And if they win this point, they will take the lead for the first time since prior to the mid-game interval. And indeed they do go ahead for the first time, and it's now Chris Nanta and Lim who are just 3 points away from taking out the first game. Into the net it goes though. It's an awkward height for Chris Nanta. I think he was in two minds momentarily whether to play it over the shoulder or under the arm, and he got caught in no man's land. So 18 each. Important serve now for Grace Chua. Every point precious at this stage of proceedings. Lim Min Hui found a bit of empty court, but Grace Chua was equal to it, but then put away with absolute disdain by Lim Min Hui. And the power game of the number 1 seeds now just starting to turn the screw. They only lead here by a point, but you do get the feeling that they are in pole position now. Let's give a mention to our umpire in this one. It's Sim Wee Keng and Benjamin Yen, our service judge. All the officials and umpires have done such a wonderful job as Lim Min Hui asked the question there, as they want to change the shuttlecock. And it's the first game point of this match, and it goes to the number 1 seeds, Chris Nanta and Lim. They have only led in this game fleetingly on 3 different occasions, but now, having hung tough, they'll have 2 game points. And they'll only need 1. And how appropriate that Danny Chris Nanta's power and pace is what brings it home for them. And Kang, an absorbing first game, but you do fear for Queck and Chua, because psychologically, having led for the most part of that first game and then gone down by 21 points to 18, they're going to now need to respond very quickly at the start of the second, otherwise this semi-final might get away from them.
Yep, it will be a good chance for Danny and Min Hui to take the lead again for the games. And it will be a tough psychological game as well for Grace and Andy.
And tell me, Kang, you've been working in and around the Singapore Badminton Association. What's the morale like amongst all the players? Obviously, it's been frustrating for all professional athletes and elite athletes with the COVID-19 disruptions, but is there the spirit and atmosphere in the camp good ahead of what we hope will still be a SEA Games year in Hanoi?
Yep. What I've seen during this entire competition will be that everyone is still very competitive, everyone still desires to win, and they're seeking all opportunities to come and play for the results. Yep.
Just a reminder of our order of play here as we get set for the second game in this mixed doubles semi-final. Up next, it's the men's singles semi between Li Wei Hong and Jason Tay. Then the women's singles between Megan Lee and Grace Chua, who of course we're seeing in action here. Then the men's doubles, Albert Sapatra and Bimo Ao Procasso against Aaron Yang and Wong Jai Ho. And then Bernie Slim, Lim Min Hui and Megan Lee and Eung Yi Xing in the women's doubles. So I haven't made a mistake there. That's a couple of names that you'd have heard twice, with players doubling up in both singles and doubles events, as the first point of the opening game goes to Queck and Chua, who trail by a game to love. And now it's 1-1 in the second.
Looking at women's double, Min Hui is also playing the women's double category as well.
Yes, of course, we'll see Lim Min Hui twice, won't we? But I think the schedule's been slightly kinder to her. The mixed doubles and the women's doubles bookend our schedule on this Saturday of semi-finals. Not so for Grace, who has to play here, and then in theory, if Jason Tay and Li Wei Hong's quick, I'm told they are going to ensure there's at least an hour's rest for Grace in between. So she'll be hoping, obviously, that Li Wei Hong and Jason Tay go long. Great to speak to Jason Tay on One Play Sports in the build-up to this. A very promising young man at 20 years of age. And the number 2 seed, of course, number 1 seed in the men's singles already out. Joel Ko beaten by the Indonesian Vega Vio Nwanda yesterday. And I think many people think Jason Tay and Vega will be meeting in tomorrow's final, but there's work to be done yet as that one goes long. And that really was a much needed point on the board for Kwek and Shuat, because it was just in danger of getting away from them this second game. This is the biggest lead in a game, 5-2, that they've had in the match, Krishnanta and Lim.
Caught the net.
And with that going into the net, the lead opens up now to 4 points. And this was the fear, wasn't it, Kang, having lost that first game, that they'll really think they should have closed out, that the second game psychologically would be too much for them.
Yep, it will be, especially for Grace, it will be a much more pressurizing game. Hoping that she has the team will be able to come back during the second set.
Nice deep serve from Grace Chua. Had Danny Krishnanta stretching.
Danny has remained really aggressive throughout both sets. Unfortunately, he caught the net this time round.
Yeah, he's had a couple of very deft shots, but the trouble when you're going for those power plays frequently, the number of times they return to you, the higher the percentage of the error creeping in, and that's what happened here.
Yep.
Oh, look at that from Lim Min Hui, who herself, by the way, is not exactly a shrinking violet when it comes to the power in her game. As Kwek and Chua get a drive on, winning 3 points on the spin.
Coming close to Danny and Lim.
Well, 5-1 and 6-2 has very quickly become 6-5. And as that one drops into the net,
Drop into it.
we're all tied up in
tied up.
6-all, Kang.
Yep. Like
So
the first set is really intense.
Yeah, credit to Kwek and Chua, because at 6-2, you thought maybe this would develop into an easy second game for the number 1 seeds. It's not proved the case.
Yep.
Oh, look at that. Great angles from Danny Krishnanta, who managed to put it away at the second time of asking. So Krishnanta and Lim still with their noses in front in this second game.
What good placement by
Lovely
Andy.
touch, and you heard
Going
an
left and
outpouring
right.
of emotion and aggression there from, I think, Andy Kwek, who realised the importance of that point. Remember, they took the turn at 11-8 in front in the first game and still lost 21-18. Oh, there's the deft touch
Well returned by Grace.
from Danny Krishnanta. That one goes wide, though.
That was a great save by Grace in front of the net right just now.
Certainly was. For the first time in this game, Kwek and Chua just edging in front. Some wonderful reflexes from the number 3 seed pairing, as Lim Min Hui does a bit of DIY and gets the broom out on the court. Of course, this would usually be done for the players, but wonderful work from the Singapore Badminton Association and Sports Singapore to ensure there is the minimum number of people in this hall at the OCBC Arena. A wonderful venue at the Singapore Sports Hub, who are of course the title sponsors of this Singapore Sports Hub National Open Championships 2021. I'll tell you who'll be enjoying watching this game, I'd imagine, the most, and that's Megan Lee, because you'll have seen Grace Chua have to work extremely hard here. Oh, he's going to put this away. You simply don't serve those up for Danny Krishnanta. Your man has given him a knife and fork. He'll gobble those up for breakfast. It's now 8-all. Lim Min Hui goes deep on the serve. Krishnanta with a deft touch. Oh, just going wide. Of course, there's no review system here. I can tell you the semi-final over on court number 2 is already done and dusted in what, less than 23 minutes. It's taken the first mixed doubles pairing to reach tomorrow's final. We'll update you on who's won that just as soon as we know it. Oh, lovely reactions from Chris Nanta. Beautiful reactions from Chris Nanta as Lim Ming-hui wants to change the shuttlecock. It's almost the way of badminton, isn't it? The irony that you can play a brilliant reaction shot like that and still come up on the losing end of the point. That's what happened there. And of course, if Kwek and Chua take this point out, they'll go into the mid-game break with exactly the same lead that they had at the mid-game break in the first game. Kang Yang is endeavouring to find out who got through in that other semi-final in the mixed doubles, which featured the number 2 seeds Terry He and Elaine Chua against the unseeded pairing of Lion Jing. As
Indeed.
11-9 is the tail of the tape at the turn, so they're 1 point closer, Chris Nanta and Lin, than they were in the first game. And it was, of course, after that mid-game break that they really didn't exactly take control, but just hung in there and managed to pull away on the crucial points. But Andy Kwek and Grace Chua are giving the number 1 seeds a real scare here. A reminder, immediately after this match, we'll have the men's singles semi-final between Li Wei Hong and Jason Tay. Jason, the highest ranked male Singapore badminton player left in the championships. Looking forward to seeing him in action. We spoke with him on One Play Sports this week, and he's a fine ambassador for the Singapore badminton fraternity. You can find that interview on the One Play Sports Facebook page and the Singapore Badminton Association social media channels as well. So, second half of the second game. Kwek and Chua leading 11-9. Lin Ming meets the brick wall of Grace Chua, and then coming out on top in that battle at the net with the number 1 seeds to draw within 1. Fine margins here, isn't it, Kang? There's so much quality between both pairings. You do just get the feeling on the big points, though, Chris Nanta and Lim
Yep.
have the edge.
Yeah, more in control of the game right now. Getting 2 or 3 points straight.
Well, we're still awaiting confirmation from our position here as to whether it was Terry He and Elaine Chua or Lai Xing Nyang or Jing Chuang Mok that came through. Bearing in mind Terry He and Elaine Chua were the number 2 seeds against the unseeded pairing, I'd imagine it would be they that went through. Have we managed to find out, Kang, who went through in that other semi-final yet?
Yeah, we're finding out. Oh, Terry and Elaine took the game. 21-19, 21-13.
Who took the game?
Terry and Elaine.
Terry and Elaine. Terry He and
Second
Elaine Chua go through 19 and 13 in the
Semi-finals.
other mixed doubles semi-final. So that'll be Terry He and Elaine Chua against the winner of this one. Only Chris Nanta dominating from the back of the court, but Andy Kwek and Grace Chua are proving a very tough nut to crack for the number 1 seed. Look at that reaction from Chris Nanta, and that one drops in. Actually gone long, I think there. Apologies. So 13 apiece.
Envy and Grace are playing really hard to try and come back during this game.
And they simply must win this game, but the fear is, I think in a close fought game, they're always going to struggle against Chris Nanta and Lim Ming-hui. I mean, they had a 3-point advantage in the closing stages of that first game and lost 21-18. So it's around about this moment in time you expect the number 1 seeds to show their class, and
To take over the game.
yeah, they do have a 1-point lead now.
It was a crucial mistake by Andy just now.
Lim Ming-hui on serve. Oh, lovely
What a receive.
disguise
Wow,
of the
what a
shot from
smash.
Grace Chua there.
by Andy.
Yeah, Grace Chua disguised that initial shot beautifully. It left Lim Ming-hui having to improvise, and Andy Kwek gobbled up the opportunity. So we're tied at 14 each.
Grace to serve.
course, if this does go
right
to the
onto
third
Grace.
game, it's going to be stamina that's going to come to the fore as well. As Chris Nanta and Lim edge ahead once more. It's been nip and tuck, this one, really all the way.
Wow, what a
That was a
receive by
brilliant
Grace.
get from
Wow.
Grace. How are they staying in
Wow,
this
how
point? I
is he
do not
staying?
know. My word, 2 or 3 times now the point seemed
Wow,
lost and they've
wow.
stayed in it. This is going to be huge in the context of the game if they can win this point, Kwek and Chua,
What
and they
a
can.
game, what a
That's the
rally.
point of the game so far for Andy Kwek and Grace Chua, and it came at such an important time to level it up once again
What a
at
rally
15
for
all.
Grace.
4 or 5 times there that Andy Kwek and Grace Chua looked down and out in that point and somehow found a way to win it.
Be an energizer for Grace and Andy right now to have a comeback.
Lim and Hui again doing a little bit of DIY as the sweat is certainly going to be falling off these players now. I can see over on court number 2, Darren Erg and Vega Villanueva are getting set for their men's singles semi-final. Remember, on our show court here, on the TV court if you like, it'll be Li Wai Hong and Jason Tay, 3 and 2 seed respectively in the men's singles, that will follow immediately after the conclusion of this game, but it still might be a while away, the conclusion of this one yet, because Andy Kwek and Grace Chua are proving a very difficult nut to crack for the #1 seeds. Every point now precious, no mistakes can creep in, and it was Danny Krishnanta's aggression again that just saw the #1 seeds get that point to edge away again. They've been on court now for over half an hour. It's the #1 seeds just with their noses in front. Both these pairs looking to meet Terry He and Elaine Chua in tomorrow's final after the #2 seeds came through in straight games, 19 and 13 against Lia Xing Neng and Jing Chong Mok. Oh,
Wow,
wonderful.
What a caught right there by Andy.
Wonderful again, so
Seeing the shot
important
coming.
to win that point, to not allow Chris Nanta and Lim open up a 2-point gap. Now or never for Andy Kwek and Grace Chua. Got to try and find a way of winning a point on their own serve, you fancy, in the next 4 minutes, otherwise.
And this time to move forward.
Chris Nanta and Lim picking up a relatively cheap point there. But battling back with a quick and easy point of their own, Kwek and Chua. So 17 all.
Really strong fighting spirit from Andy and Grace right now.
The way this game is going, if they went to a third game, you wouldn't like to call the winner here. They've had to work incredibly hard, the #1 seeds, but they just refuse to go behind in this game, and they edge ahead again. And remember, it was this point in the first game that they pulled clear.
If this goes to a third game, Grace will have a hard time afterwards for his women's single match.
And of course, and Grace Chua, psychologically, it'll be very difficult for her to break away from the thought process that she's got a semi-final coming up in the women's singles a little later on this afternoon. That game is scheduled to follow Li Wai Hong and Jason Tay, which will follow this game. They have been promised, I understand it, the players a minimum of 1 hour respite between matches, so Grace Chua does take it to a third. She'll want to make sure they win this to make it worthwhile. Is not quite sure what happened there, whether it was a net cord or they just got caught out. But again, we're tied up once more at 18 all.
18.
Huge service point here. Andy Kwek and Grace Chua. If they can find a way to win this point on the Chua serve, you make them favourites to go on and win this game, and they can do it now.
This
because
is
they
the
do
opportunity.
edge ahead, 19-18 now. Wonderful serve from Grace Chua. Well, she's done it once. If she could do it again, you'd feel we're almost destined.
Immense pressure on Grace right now.
To go to a third game.
Yep.
She's serving to Chris Nanta. Sent deep by Andy Kwek. Grace Chua lays it up for Chris Nanta, but it's a put away, brilliantly put away by Andy Kwek.
What a tap.
And they will have 2 game points here to take us to a third.
Let's see if Andy and Grace are able to clinch this.
Whoever did the match allocation in terms of the court has done us proud, giving us this semi-final on the number one court. The other mixed doubles semi-final was relatively one-sided. Terry He and Elaine Chua coming through 19 and 13. Well, they've seen one of those game points come and go. Now they have the advantage of taking it on the Chris Nanta serve. Chance for Andy Kwek to put it away. Grace Chua goes high. They've got to take it out here, you fancy. And they get it in. The mistake into the net from Chris Nanta. And we will go the distance here.
To the rubber set.
Andy Kwek and Grace Chua take out the second game. 21-18, the same scoreline in which they lost the first. And the way this is heading, we could be on court for just shy of an hour. Li Wei Hong and Jason Tay are warming up outside of the arena to come on to centre stage for the men's singles semi-final. But Grace Chua, we're going to be seeing a lot of her here because she's taken the number one seeds along with her partner Andy Kwek to a third and deciding game. Danny Chris Nanta and Lim Ming Hui in what really was a role reversal from the first game. In the first game, Kwek and Chua led throughout but got pipped at the post, and it was the opposite side of the story in the second, and I wouldn't like to call a winner at this point.
Yep, it's unknown right now that we won't see who's going to come out of this game right now. And it'll be interesting how Grace and Andy will play their opponents in the third set. Both of the teams are tired, most of them are slightly more drained out right now.
Well, psychologically, all of a sudden Andy Kwek and Grace Chua should be in the ascendancy here because they were good value for that second game. While we wait for them to resume in the third and deciding game in this mixed doubles semi-final live on One Play Sports, it's the Singapore Sports Hub National Open Badminton Championships 2021. A reminder, immediately following this match, it will be Li Wei Hong against Jason Tay, number 3 seed taking on number 2 seed in the men's singles. After that, we'll have the women's singles semi-final between Megan Lee and Grace Chua. But of course, depending on how long that men's singles semi-final goes, there may be a slight delay because Grace Chua will get a minimum of 1 hour break between this epic mixed doubles semi-final and her women's semi-final. Then after the women's singles semis, we'll be having the men's doubles semi-final, Albert Supatra and Bimo Brocoso taking on Aaron Yang and Ho Win Wong. And then the last game on our show court today will be the women's doubles semi-final between number 1 seeds Bernice Lim, Lim Ming Hui, who we're seeing in action here. She's going to also have a busy afternoon, and Megan Lee and Eung Yi Shing. Of course, Megan Lee, again, she'll pull double duty, so it'll be a strange feeling for Megan. She's doing the opposite of what Grace is doing, playing her women's singles semi first before then being in doubles action. Of course, Grace in doubles action here and more a little later on this afternoon being women's singles. First point.
Wow, what a cross by Andy just now.
For Kwek and Chua. Wow. And Lim Ming Hui came up with the goods.
Right at the body of Andy.
When they needed it most, so it's 1 each now. How tight is this? I think that was the first game, incidentally. You might know this because you've been analysing the games throughout the week. I certainly, in the knockout stage, that was the first game that Danny Chris Nanta and Lim Ming Hui have lost this week. I don't know how they got in the group stages, Kang.
Yep.
To get a game off the number 1 seeds is impressive, and now all of a sudden, Kwek and Chua have their noses in front.
It's immense pressure on the first seed.
Did brilliantly to pick that up, Andy Kwek, but of course he was prone on the deck and it left him vulnerable, and Chris Nanta put it away. You can see the sweat pouring off all 4 of these players now. I'm sure we'll have to see that sweep come out again. We're going to take a quick time out here maybe for that knock on the knee that Andy Kwek got. Now, Kang, what's happened here? I think Andy just asked to go and towel down after taking that tumble. It's going to be a battle of wills here.
It's going to be a psychological game as much as the physical game as well.
2-2. Nice return from Andy Kwek. Get a chance for Kwek to put it away, which he does brilliantly. Lim Ming Hui unable to get down to it. And now Grace Chua, who's sensational serving at the end of the second game.
Holding the pressure.
Saw the number 3 seeds home.
Wow, what a smash.
Quick.
Gone to the net by crossover.
Just crept over. I think the racket goes up in acknowledgement that they might have been a bit fortunate there.
Yep.
But it's a 2-point lead. The first time a pairing has had a 2-point lead in this deciding game. And Grace Chua, I think I'm right in saying she's won more points on her serve than Andy Quecker's won, and he's in this pairing here. Didn't win that one though. And now Lim Ming Hui's turn to try and weave some magic with the serve to presumably hope that they lift it up in the air for Chris Nanta to put away. That's what they always are looking to do, make them go high. Again, he gets his direction so well, Chris Nanta.
Chris Nanta is keeping the aggressiveness ever since the first set, going for the hard smashes.
He looks like he could play another 3 games, doesn't he? He's hardly blowing at all. All 4 of them look supremely fit, which is half the battle. Oh, she wants that one back, Lim Ming Hui, at this stage to cough up cheap service faults.
Yep.
Maybe just a sign of the pressure.
It's really dangerous right now to let such mistakes to occur.
So 4th one of the match in terms of service faults. Good get. Able to get right behind that. Only Chris Nanta, which has given Quek and Chua a chance. Quek through the middle. Lim Ming Hui, well left by Grace Chua. The teamwork from Quek and Chua is really sensational. Oh, he just took a chance. He took that away from Grace Chua. And it drops down and in. And one key point to this matchup, the real epic rallies have gone the way of the number 3 seeds. Chris Nanta and Lim have been on top when it comes to the short explosive points, but when they've gone into epic sagas points, it's the pairing nearest to you as you watch in blue that have come out on top.
Wow.
Now, was that a wise leave?
Was in.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Umpire, I think, has given the point to Quek and Chua. Well, that was a strange one to leave, wasn't it, Kang?
Yep.
Do you have aces in badminton? Service ace.
Service ace.
And again, it drops in. Now, Chris Nanta and Lim need to be careful here. This is all of a sudden getting away from them.
Yep. It looks like a 3 or 4 point straight by Andy and Grace right now.
Yeah, they've won 4 points on the spin.
Andy to serve.
Lim Ming Hui just asking them to wait one moment while she sets herself. They need to stop the rot here, the number 1 seeds. Huge point. If they can open up by 5, it'll be the biggest lead that either pairing has had in a game so far. They cannot. Lim Ming Hui comes up with the goods that time.
Lim Hui can remain composed for the next game.
They need to step on the turbo now. And those power shots of Chris Nanta that were finding holes all over the court in the first couple of games, all of a sudden he's finding it much harder to break down the Quek and Chua defence. And if anything...
Well, right in the box.
And again, well, that's the 3rd time in the last 20 minutes of play that Chris Nanta and Lim have been guilty of a bad misjudgment in terms of leaving a shot. And the gap is 4 once more.
Yep, now Quek and Chua leading by 4 points. Let's see if they hold this lead.
Too much power that time, Chris Nanta. But that's really an exhibit of where their strength has been in this game. The short explosive points Chris Nanta and Lim have won. But if Quek and Chua can engage them into a rally, they're always there, aren't they? So difficult in those long rallies to find a winner. They've almost ground out the points, whereas the spectacular points have tended to have been won by Chris Nanta and Lim.
Nice drop shots by Andy.
Every time a rally goes more than 10 shots, you fancy it will be Quek and Chua to come out on top, as they have done again there.
Like I say, you know, when we go into long rallies, Andy and Chua always remain composed, calm to receive all the shots by Danny and Ming Hui.
You'd have to make Quek and Chua heavy favourites now. Nothing's a given, and of course they will have to contend with that break when they reach 11, assuming they reach 11 before Chris Nanta and Lim, and they led 11-8, remember, in the first game before going down 21-18. They led 11-9 in the second, but won 21-18. But one thing's for sure, Chris Nanta and Lim, to win this, are going to have to find a successive number of points. They found one there. This, I think, is their best chance to win the game now. Take 4 points on the spin here to break the resolve and the mental toughness that Kwek and Chua have been showing. Some huge points coming up, and they will go in to the turn 11-7 in front. So the biggest lead they've had. They've led at the halfway mark in both games so far, and of course they'll take a turn here in the third and final game. So by 4 points, it's going to take some coming back from Kang.
Yeah, it's looking good for Andy and Grace right now. We shall see what strategies or techniques Danny and Minghui is going to come up with to fight back and have a comeback.
What I'm finding interesting as well, there appears to be more communication between the pairing of Kwek and Chua than there is between Chris Nanta and Lim Minghui. They don't appear to be deep in conversation, maybe just trying to portray a poker face.
Yep. It's really important to stay communicated.
Well, we're waiting, of course, for the men's single semi-final between Li Wai Hong and Jason Tay, which will follow this game. I can tell you the other men's single semi-final has seen Vega Nawadna go into an ending against Darren Ung by 12 points to 7. The Indonesian, of course, guesting in this tournament, Vega Nawanda. Meanwhile, first point after the turn in the final game here has gone the way of Andy Kwek and Grace Chua, who are 9 points away from coming from a game down against the #1 seeds to make tomorrow's final, where they'll play Terry He and Elaine Chua. But Chris Nanta and Lim might still have something to say about that. They're now
Grace
to within
went
4.
for the shot just now. It was on the net and Grace went for it. It's a good receive by Grace.
Great put away from Chris Nanta. When he gets that kind of elevation in the front of the court, it's so difficult to live with the power. And they've crept it back to within 3. This is where they need to put the hammer down and go on a run. Every point precious now to Kwek and Chua. They've got themselves into a winning position, but can they close it out? Not very deep. Chris Nanta done well to get there, and he's done well to drop that in as well. Sensational stuff from Chris Nanta. He won that point almost single-handedly, and they are to within 2. And that huge lead they had at 11-7, then 12-7 has evaporated to now just 2 points. They've got to find a point off their opponent's serve here, Kwek and Chua, and they've got to find it quickly. And they've let that serve drop long, and that was an example of a good leave. Another service error by Lim Minghui.
It'll be a chance for Grace and Andy to keep Danny behind right at the back line instead of coming forward.
Great change up from Chris Nanta. They're going to let that one drop, and it's going to go long again. And that is exactly what Kwek and Chua needed. They've got 2 more points in the bag in quick succession. They lead 14-10 now, and both points have come from elementary errors, really, from Chris Nanta and Lim, who had threatened a charge at 12-7 down to get to within 2, but the gap is now 4. 7 points away. Kwek and Chua.
What a find by Danny, right in the center. Whoa, what a cross court.
Lovely shot across the court. Danny Chris Nanta, desperate for points, went sliding to get it, but the shuttlecock hit the deck before he got anywhere near it. The broom will come out, and when the broom is off court, they'll find themselves training 15-11 in the decider. And I think at this point, maybe the delay in brushing the court, if anything, will probably help Chris Nanta and him, because they've got to try and almost reset here and take, you think, 5 of the next 6 or 7 points to have any kind of chance.
Yeah, they have to make a slight big change right here to be able to come back right now.
I can tell you, over on number 2 court in the men's single semi-final, Vega Nwanda leads Darian Ung by 15 points to 10 in the first game there, and we're awaiting the arrival of Li Wei Hong and Jason Tay in the men's singles semi-final, the other men's singles semi-final. They'll be on this court immediately after the conclusion of this epic mixed doubles semi-final that's got our coverage on One Play Sports off to an outstanding start here live from the OCBC Arena in Singapore. It's the Singapore Sports Hub National Open Badminton Championships 2021, and what a performance this from Grace Chua, who we'll see again in maybe just over an hour from now against Megan Lee in the women's singles semi-final. How much will this have taken out of her? That's the question. Of course, Megan Lee herself, after her women's singles semi-final, will play in the women's doubles semi-final, where we'll also see Lim Ming Hui in action again. She's the #1 seed in the mixed doubles with Dani Krishnanta. She's the #1 seed in the women's doubles with Bernice Lim. It's gone wide, and they're now just within 5 of victory. And is the die now cast for the #1 seeds to go tumbling out at this semi-final stage? Grace Chua's serving has been immaculate. The decision-making for the #3 seeds to this point has been far in advance of some of the errors that have been made by Krishnanta and Lim. Could get that from Krishnanta. A wonderful pick-up from Andy Kwek. Grace Chua keeps the point alive. And once again, we're involved in an epic rally, and the tail of this game has been the team in blue coming out in top of the epic rallies. Grace Chua picks it up. Over 20 points this rally now, and again, it's the story of the game. When the rallies go long, it's the #3 seeds that come out on top. Their lead is now 6 points. It's the biggest lead either pairing has had across all the 2 3/4 games we've had so far. And they are now within 4 points of winning the right to take on Terry He and Elaine Chua in tomorrow's mixed doubles semi-final that will also bring you live on these networks. Grace Chua, for me, has had an outstanding game. Her serving has been sensational. At time, Dani Krishnanta managed to win a cheap and easy point, and it's been the quick points that have kept Krishnanta and Lim just about in contention here. Another one's gone long. Well, they're almost into double digits in this game alone in terms of unforced errors. Krishnanta and Lim, and surely there's no way back here, Kang.
Yep, it's going to be a tough fight for them to come back right now.
Again, Andy Kwek. Oh, too good.
Oh, he was in.
Just too good.
And he's playing really aggressive right now, hoping to clinch this game.
This is some performance from Andy Kwek and Grace Chua. And remember, they did this having lost the first game 21-18 in a game that they led for the most part, and we thought then that it might be ominous.
Well, well received by Andy.
For the #3 seeds, but they need to perform miracles now. 2 points away from the match, Kwek and Chua. 6 points in front, and it's going to take a stunning run of serving from Dani Krishnanta to get him and his partner back into this. Again, the power of Krishnanta wins the day.
In the third set, Krishnanta is still keeping aggressive, going for the hard smashes.
They're within 5 points. But Krishnanta's going to realistically have to win 4 points on his own serve here, you think? Oh, too good.
Wow.
Well,
great rally by...
At least they're going to go down with all guns blazing here. Krishnanta and Lim, if they pull this one out the fire, it will be an absolutely stunning result. They've now been on court for 52 minutes. In badminton terms, that really is epic.
A really long game for them.
And to put it into context, on the #2 court, they've already had the other mixed doubles semi-final, and they're coming to the end of the first game in the men's singles semi-final on #2 court. Oh, she's made the mistake there, and another unforced error from Lim Ming Hui.
1 game point. It's 5 game
points. It brings up 6 match points.
Oh, 6 match points for Andy
Kwek and Chua. What an epic encounter this has been. How many they're going to need? Well, they're going to need at least 2 of them. First one has come and gone. And now Lim Ming Hui, who's made a couple of mistakes she'll be furious about in this third game, has to go on something of a stunning winning run on her own serve to keep the #1 seeds alive in the competition.
Oh, 2 mistakes straight.
Yeah, well, we've been talking about the Krishnanta and Nimon forced errors. There's 2 for Kwek and Chua, just as they see the finish line in sight. Still 3 match points to go.
Pressure and see if they could take off the game.
Andy Kwek, wonderful get. Are they going to give Andy Kwek a chance to close this out? Yes, they are! And he puts it away quite brilliantly. And Andy Kwek and Grace Chua win 18-21, 21-18, and 21-17 in a game that took 53 minutes. Grace Chua, having won this game, now heads to the women's singles semi-final against Megan Lee a little later on, immediately after, or at least an hour after the clock, which starts now. Next up on this number 1 court, we'll see Lee Wei Hong against Jason Tay. Remember the men's doubles, Albert Supatra and Bimo O Picasso and Aaron Yang and Hu Win Wong. And then the women's doubles of Bernice Lim and Lim Ming Hui, who'll get a chance to redeem her day here after throwing away a 1-game lead in the mixed doubles. She'll play the women's doubles with another number 1 seeded pairing with Bernice Lim against Megan Lee and Ng Yu Jing. Quick reaction to you, Kang, from what was an epic start to our coverage of this finals weekend in the Singapore Sports Hub National Open Badminton Championships.
Yep, it's gonna be a very exciting game for the next singles game. The second seed versus the third seed. Both are really close friends on out of the court. We shall see how they're gonna perform on the court instead for today.
Okay, many thanks, Kang. We're going to just take a brief time out, then we'll be back with our men's singles semi-final. Lee Wei Hong against Jason Tay. Welcome back live to the OCBC Arena on an incredible afternoon so far, and we're only 1 match into our 5-match programme. If you're just joining us, you've missed an epic mixed doubles semi-final. Andy Kwek and Grace Chua coming through 18-21, 21-18, 21-17 against the number 1 seeds Danny Krishnanta and Lim Ming Hui. So it'll be Andy Kwek and Grace Chua to take on Terry He and Elaine Chua in tomorrow's mixed doubles semi-final. Now we're about to find out who the men's final will be between, because Jason Tay, following the elimination yesterday, or Thursday I should say, of Joel Coe at the hands of Vega Nwanda, is the highest ranked player left in this competition. He is the defending champion. He's on court now about to take on Lee Wei Hong. And incidentally, Darian Ung and Vega Nwanda are deep into the first game of their other men's single semi-final, and it's the Indonesian that leads 20-17 in the first game of that one. But here we focus our attention on Lee Wei Hong and Jason Tay, and Kang Yang, who is alongside me. Jason, will start favourite here, but by how much in your opinion, Kang?
It's both of them are. Jason is a really good player. We shall see how Wei Hong might perform. Wei Hong will be interesting player to look at for today. He has been playing very good sets in the qualifying rounds and semi-finals, so in the quarterfinals as well. So it could go both ways.
Well, Jason Taylor, of course, at the age of 19, won this championships last year.
Yep.
Former student at the Singapore Sports School, represented Singapore in the SEA Games in the Philippines, and will be hopeful, I'm sure, of a medal chance in the SEA Games upcoming in Hanoi. Let's pray that they happen. Our umpire for this one is Jason Fu, assisted by service judge Vivian Tay. And it will be, I'm sure, another close game. Whether it can live up to the epic nature of the mixed doubles semi-final we've just enjoyed, I'm not so sure. So, Jason Tay and Lee Wai Hong. Now, Lee Wai Hong dropped a game in his round of 16 game against Marcus Lau. Then went and won in straight games against Nigel Yap yesterday, whereas Jason Tay was coming here off the back of a very routine victory in the quarterfinals, winning 8-8 against Indra Setyan Wijaya. So Lee on the near side as we watch, as that one is a good lead from Jason Tay, who'll pick up the first point. Jason Tay on the far side in the sleeveless shirt, out to an early lead.
Move out of the corner.
Just confirming, I believe you might have a glance over and confirm for me, Kang, that it was Vega Nwanda that took out that first game over on court number 2. We'll update you in that one as it goes along here. Jason Tay with the early advantage. Lovely backhand. Well, that was a cheap enough point for Jason Tay, and that you feel might be the difference between the two in this game. Who's going to give away the fewer cheap points? That was certainly the difference in the mixed doubles semi-final we just saw, because Danny Krishnanta and Lim Ming Hui will watch that back and be kicking themselves with some of the easy points they gave away, Kang.
Yep, it was really crucial for them not to miss those points. But yes, it has played a big part in the results of the entire match.
Well, Jason Tay won 8-8 yesterday, or on Thursday. There was a rest day yesterday against Indra Wijaya, and he's out.
Service mistake by Jason.
To an early lead here, albeit hampered a little bit by the service error. Which of these two players is going to send the other one dancing around the court first?
By Jason.
Oh, lovely cross court from Jason Tay. That's a world-class shot there. Having interviewed Jason earlier this week, he's certainly a fine ambassador for the sport, very well-spoken young man, and he's got the right attitude and he's got big ambitions, and if he wants to fulfill those ambitions, this is the kind of match, and indeed this is the kind of tournament he needs to be winning. Wouldn't you say so, Kang?
Yep, definitely. It will be a stepping stone for him right here to win the tournament again.
Mistake off the service return there gives Lee Wai Hong another chance. I think both these players are 20 years of age.
Yep, both of them are in 20 years of age.
Yeah. Confirmation incidentally that it was Vega Nwanda that took out the first game against Darian Ung, but Darian Ung is 3-1 ahead in the second. Winner of that plays the winner of this. Jason Tay, who's been in the ascendancy early here. He's gone very deep with that shot. He had a thought about leaving that, I think, Lee Wai Hong, but then made the wide decision to play it. Exchanging little dinks over the net. Again, Lee Wai Hong is having to do the more movement around the court through the early part of this game, and that's another mistake. Cheap point coughed up, and Jason Tay has his joint biggest lead of the game so far, leading 7-3. Again, I asked you this about some of the other players, but I don't think Jason Tay certainly hasn't dropped a game in the knockout stage. Did he drop any games in the group stage? You'd have to think it was unlikely.
Unlikely, he has been playing, I think, mostly 2 clean sets, and he got to qualify over the games.
And that was a very nonchalant no-look lead from Jason Tay. Of course, the person that's watching this praying it does go long is Grace Chua, who's through to the mixed doubles final after an epic win over the #1 seeds moments ago. She's scheduled next on court against Megan Lee, but Grace will be given a minimum of 1 hour, so there may be a short pause in the broadcast while we wait for that 1 hour to elapse to give Grace Chua time to recover before she takes on Megan Lee.
Yep.
And the way Jason Tay's going, we might have to take a break for about 20 minutes. Remember, the mixed doubles semi-final was on court for 54 minutes. These two have been on court for only 4 minutes, and Jason Tay's already notched up 8 points and a 4-point lead. Nice nonchalant backhand from Jason Tay. It's certainly Lee who's having to do the more work early, and another good leave.
Wei Hong is playing really fast, going for the pace.
He must have dinner reservations, Jason Tay, the speed at which he's playing, and of course there's no doubles distractions for he. Oh, that one he'd like back though. Still comfortably in front, but by his own high standards, that was an error he shouldn't be making. So back with Lee on serve. Into the net from Lee. And the gap is 5 points once more.
Wei Hong was ready for that smash. Standing right on the left side of the court. Just right outside.
And at the halfway point in this first game, it's a 6-point lead for Jason Tay. He's looking quite comfortable here, Kang. Lee doesn't look like he's got the ammunition to trouble him at this early stage.
Yep, these two players know each other so well. They're familiar with how the play styles are. It's going to be interesting how they're going to suppress one another during this game.
Well, if there's any suppressing going on at the moment, it's Jason Tay doing the suppressing and the aggressing as well, because Lee, for the most part, through the first 16 points, has looked second best. Incidentally, over on court 2, Vega Noanda is 7-5 up and a game up in that other semi-final, and he himself is looking quite comfortable, albeit being pushed quite hard by Darian Ung. Here, that break after Jason Tay reached 11 points is going to have had to have a dramatic effect on Lee Wai Hong. And I think it was crucial for the #3 seed. He won that first point after the resumption, and that he did. And he's won another.
By Wei Hong, going across the court.
Well, that was a little bit lackluster, the attempt to play that from Jason Tay.
Yep.
And again, he had all the momentum when they took that brief.
Was not ready to commit to the net shot.
Break. Not anymore.
Oh, cross court smash.
And again, that's 3 points on the spin.
By Jason.
And what's noticeable about those points, it's not that Lee's had to do anything extravagant. He's just got the basics right, and it's been Jason's turn to make mistakes.
Yep, now the lead is only cut down to 3.
Nice
Wow,
reach with a
great
backhand.
movement by Wei Hong.
Oh, that time it was Lee that sent it tumbling into the net. So that mini comeback is over for now. 3 straight points won, but he still trails by 4.
He's still in the game.
So Jason Tay on serve here. Knows that's going long. Just not got his length on radar early, Lee Wai Hong. And this first game is rapidly now, despite that little flurry of points after the midway mark, getting away from him. He's struggling to
get back by Jason.
Jason Tay under huge pressure here. The points he has been winning have tended to be Jason Tay mistakes. And when the rallies go long, they inevitably go the way of the number 2 seed Jason Tay, the defending champion here at the Singapore Sports Hub National Badminton Open Championships. The change of shuttlecock.
Jason remained really composed throughout the entire game.
He looks like he's playing within himself, Kang, doesn't he? You get the feeling he's got more gears to go through here, if required.
It's looking like it. He's still containing himself, not going full out yet.
And another one goes long.
Wei Hong has to...
At least 5 occasions where Lee Wai Hong has gone long, and they've not even been close calls. He hasn't even bothered to follow the shuttlecock over the line, Jason Tay. He just knows instinctively that the shots...
He has to be more concerned about his errors right now to keep himself in the game. Nice return.
Now almost going to drop in.
Oh.
Back to the backhand of Jason Tay. Longest rally of the match so far, this. A great pickup from Jason Tay, but one question asked too many, and Lee Wai Hong may be telling that he's won that point. It was the longest rally of the match, and maybe that's going to be the secret to his success if he's going to have some in the second game of trying to keep these rallies long. We saw a similar story with Andy Kwek and Grace Chua, the underdogs in the mixed doubles semi-final, coming out on top in the long points, and that really is what Lee Wai Hong needs to try and do. You get the feeling this first game might be beyond him. Even though he's picked up a cheap point on serve there to close the gap to 5. Difficult to see him winning 11 points before Jason Tay's winning 6 on all the evidence of what we've seen so far. Hand was up from Jason Tay, so that will go again. Meanwhile, 14-6 to Vega Nwanda on number 2 court, leading by a game to love, so it looks very much like the Indonesian will be in the final of the Singapore Sports Hub National Open Badminton Championships for 2021.
Jason is really well controlled in the game, pulling Wei Hong away from corners to corners, from front to back.
Five away from the first game, Jason Tay. Such a lovely stroke to watch, his backhand, so casual. And again, he's got Lee moving all over the court here, managing to win that centre
nice
tee.
Drop shot.
Sends him deep. This is the put away for Jason Tay, and he manages to find the deck before Lee can get the racket under the shuttlecock. And now he's within 4 of victory in the first game. Remember, all not lost for Lee Wai Hong. Andy Kwek and Grace Chua lost the first game 21-18 before coming out on top in a mixed doubles epic to start off our coverage here on semi-final Saturday. But Jason Tay's been much the best, and speaking of much the best, Vega Nwanda leads 17-7 and a game to love on court 2, so the Indonesian surely is booked for the final tomorrow, and Jason Tay is rapidly approaching the halfway mark in terms of booking his ticket. He leads 18-10 now. No answers from Lee Wai Hong at the moment. Just can't get those long rallies that I've seen him to best effect, and too many rudimentary mistakes. That's a fine put away though. That's what we need to see more of. Jason Tay didn't even attempt to go for that one. Suppose it's easy to give up a couple of points when you're leading by 8. The lead is now 7. He's 3 away. A reminder, after this match will be the women's singles semi-final between Megan Lee and Grace Chua, who's already booked her place in the mixed doubles final. Oh, look at that. Blink and you'll miss it. I wouldn't mind watching a slow motion replay of that put away from Jason Tay. So fast, his reactions. And he's 2 away from the first game now. Make that 1, and you get the feeling now Lee Wai Hong just wants this game behind him to try and focus on what's going to be a very difficult pathway to come back into this semi-final. Backhand is a joy to watch from Jason Tate. Forehand's not too shabby either. A very graceful player around the court. Into the net, and that's what I mean, Kang. The longer rallies are surely Lee Wai Hong's best. I know it's easy for us to say sitting here, his best chance of trying to improve in the second game.
Yep. Wai Hong is keeping really calm and trying to pull the rally apart to really rally Jason to find opportunities to really attack him.
1 game point has been saved by Lee Wai Hong. Now he has to save one on his own serve. Easier said than done against Jason Tate, who put that one away, and Lee Wai Hong got a racket to it but couldn't get it up and back over, and 21 points to 12. A comprehensive victory in the first game for the number 2 seed Jason Tate. And how on earth does Lee Wai Hong come back into this, Kang?
Yeah, we shall see how what the different strategies that Wai Hong is gonna come up with, to come back with such a experienced player, composed, ready to counter back. So it's gonna be interesting to see Wai Hong play in the second set.
So Jason Tate is 1 game away from winning the right to take on the confirmed finalists we do have for tomorrow's men's single final, because the Indonesian Vega Nwanda has beaten Darian Ng in straight games on court number 2, taking out the second in an emphatic 21-10 scoreline. And Jason Tate potentially looking to book in the next 15 minutes a final against the Indonesian. It will be a mouth-watering encounter to look forward to tomorrow. Incidentally, it's now 15 minutes since these 2 men started their match. They have to give Grace Chua a minimum of 1 hour's break between her marathon mixed doubles semi-final victory and her women's singles semi-final, which is scheduled next on court 1 against Megan Lee. So if Jason Tate was to go and win this in straight games, there's a chance the broadcast might be on hold for 15 minutes, but do bear with us. As a rule of thumb, with that mixed doubles semi-final finishing at 3 o'clock, we'll be looking to start, I'd imagine, the women's singles final around the women's singles semi-final, I should say, around the 4 p.m. local time Singapore mark. Love all in the second. Jason Tate on serve, having bossed the first game. He led throughout. He'll have to come from behind in the second. There's a nice little feint and good shot disguise from Lee Wai Hong. Gives him the first point in the second.
Great start for Wai Hong right now.
Are you surprised, incidentally, Kang, that Vega came through so comfortably against Darian Ng?
Yeah, actually, Vega, I'm not very surprised that Vega came through, even though he's not seeded, but Vega is a very experienced player, very speedy.
Just remind people out there why he's not seeded in these championships, because obviously it's a Singapore National Open, but he is Indonesian. Is it just because of the lack of Singaporean ranking points he's got that means he's not seeded?
Yep, so Vega is a really experienced player, really speedy, very explosive. As he really excels in the single event. So actually, I'm not surprised, and we're excited to see him to play in the finals.
Well, hold on a second. Lee Wai Hong has come out like a man possessed at the start of this second game. He's leading 3-0. Meanwhile, on court 2, Jaslyn and Inthira Khan are about to start the women's singles semi-final. We've got Megan Lee and Grace Chua, of course, on this number 1 court afterwards, after this men's semi-final. But Lee Wai Hong has come out a different player at the start of this second, and it's now Jason Tate that needs to find a response. He's lost the first 3 points straight, 1 on his own serve, 2 on Lee's serve.
Well received by Wai Hong.
And that's dropped in as well.
Wow.
4-0.
Jason has to do something right now.
This matchup's unrecognisable from what we saw in the first game when Jason Tate was so comfortable, but it did look, didn't it, in the second half of that first game that Lee had almost written it off and just wanted to start afresh here at the beginning of the second, and that's certainly what he's doing.
Yep. Looks like a brand new him right now. Giving back good quality shots. Giving Jason a hard time.
Oh,
Oh, it's going wide.
long it goes, and finally a point on the board for Jason Tay. That was a real opportunity missed there, wasn't it, for Lee?
Yep.
Be furious because Jason was a little bit caught between two stools at the front of the court. All it needed to do was drop down and it would have been a 5-0 lead as it is. Jason Tay, who made such a habit of winning points in his own serve in the first game, gets a chance to do just that in the early embers of the second. Oh, too good.
Oh, what a deception by Jason.
Disguised that shot brilliantly, didn't he? And
Yep.
sent Lee sprawling in the process. And despite that disastrous beginning, he's now got to within 2. And you get the feeling maybe Lee still ruined that opportunity to go 5-love up a moment ago.
Even though Wei Hong is leading the game right now, but there's the immense pressure on himself. As Jason is really good with deception moves, very pressurizing on him. Mistake.
Yeah,
Wei Hong.
service return not good enough, and again you just can't give a player of Jason Tay's ability the chance to be off the hook so quickly. At love 4, Jason Tay looked to be a little bit concerned, and in the blink of an eye he's got back to within 1 with 3 straight points. And I fear for Lee Wei Hong if Jason can get to 4 all straight away.
Wow.
Great
What a
rally, and
shot.
again, the longer the rally, the better Lee Wei Hong looks.
Clean overhead shot by Wei Hong.
That semi-final between Jaslyn Yan and Thira Khan about to start on court 2. Well, the way this second game's going, maybe we won't have much of a delay before our next action on court 1. Megan Lee and Grace Chua, 4 and 2 seed respectively, and the women's singles semi-final is up next, but Grace Chua is given a courtesy of an hour's time to recover from her epic mixed doubles victory. Her and Andy Kwek going through against Danny Krishnanta and Lim Ming Hui by 2-1 in an absolute epic.
Yep. What a rally by Jason and Wei Hong. Wow. Great reflex by Wei Hong.
That
Just
time,
like
Jason Tay coming out on top in a long rally. And we're tied at 5 each, so he had a 4-0 head start. Lee Wei Hong in this second game, and he's been pegged back in quick time from Jason Tay, who's going through all his catalogues of experience to remain the red-hot favourite to go through to the final, where tomorrow he'll play Vega Nwanda, winner of this, to take on the Indonesian in another game we'll be streaming live for you. Lovely backhand from Jason Tay. And how on earth did he get that forehand over the net? My word. He's just managing to own the centre of the court here.
wow.
And it was only that unforced error. And maybe a slight concern as he just rotates the back. And I think he wants a timeout here, just to maybe apply something to a back muscle that may well have just tweaked. So
It was a beautiful return by Jason just now. Back cross to Wei Hong.
a couple of the shots he's playing, even though we've got a great view here and the television angles, they just seem impossible, don't they? So goodness knows what it's like to try and deal with them, as Lee Wei Hong is trying to do. I just hope there's nothing too serious with that issue with the black for Jason Tay. After that brief timeout, we're back with Lee Wei Hong on serve and leading 6-5, but trailing by a game to love. That's gone
What
long.
a good judgment by Wei Hong, knowing that it goes out.
Oh, he's made a mistake that
Nice.
time, though. The judgment was perfect on the previous point, not so on that one. And again, that's a risk you run when you're relying on your instincts, because by the time you realise that ball's going to drop in, Kang, it's too late to get any racket on it. Shuttlecock's point dropping in, much to the delight of Jason Tay, who's back to within 1. And the way Jason's playing, you do get the feeling he's capable of going on a winning run on his own serve of 3 or 4 points here. This to level it up. And level it up he does.
Wow, great net shots by Jason just now. Well, new biting set right now going on.
Is this where Jason Tay puts the hammer down in game number 2? The way he's playing, you wouldn't dismiss him going into the midway point of the second game. 11-7 up. He's now 8-7 up, having trailed 4-love, remember, at the start of this second game. It's a much tougher test, this one, than the first game, which he cruised through 21-12. And Lee Wai Hong must wonder what he's got to do to get the better of the number 2 seed
really
here.
Full backhand shot.
Just too good. When you give him that height and elevation at the back of the court, in centre court, he's always going to fire it back with pinpoint precision. He now leads 9-7.
2-point lead by Jason.
He's won 9 of the last 12 points, which gives you an indication of where the momentum is in this second game. Make that 10 of the last 13. Just too good. And I just think,
high quality net shot by Jason.
yeah, Lee Wai Hong's chances may have evaporated already with giving up that 4-love lead so tamely ultimately. Not being uber critical because Jason Tay's playing so well, but he was slow out the blocks in the second game. Oh, wonderful pick-up from Jason Tay. If he can still win this point, surely Lee Wai Hong will be kicking himself. Jason Tay on 4 occasions in this rally found it from nowhere, and what on earth does Lee Wai Hong have to do to win a point, never mind a game? Jason Tay just too good. He leads 11-7 at the turn in the second game, having taken out the first 21-12, and you have to think, Kang, on the evidence of that last 4 points of play, there's no way back for Lee Wai Hong now. He took out 11 of the last 14 points in that first half of the second game, Jason Tay. And this is a matchup, remember, between the number 2 and 3 seed, so it's not like Lee Wai Hong is an unseeded player here, maybe just coming unstuck at the tail end of a tournament. On paper, you'd have thought this would be closer between these two, but Jason Tay, just too good.
Yep, it's really unexpected for Jason to have such a interesting game going on right now, and it's supposed to be a tight. It was supposedly theoretically a tight match. We shall see what Wai Hong is able to come out in the second set right now, after the interval.
So just again awaiting confirmation about what's going to happen with Grace Chua and Megan Lee's semi-final. We're anticipating that there might be a slight delay. They've also got the option, of course, of maybe bringing forward the men's doubles semi-final. We'll find out what's happening there for you in a minute. Let's concentrate back on the action here, where Jason Tay is in cruise control. Straight down the middle, too much power on the shuttlecock, and Lee Wai Hong can only send it back to the net. Incidentally, just got confirmation that the women's singles semi-final between Megan Lee and Grace Chua will not start any earlier than 3:55 in the afternoon local time. And wherever you are watching around the world, of course, if you're in Singapore, you know what time it is. In Singapore now, 28 minutes past 3, so that's still just under half an hour away. And the way this game's going, you fancy, Kang, that this one has only got about 5 or 6 minutes left in it, because Lee Wai Hong, his head's dropped now, hasn't it?
Yep, Wei Hong had a great smash just now on the cross court, but he landed out.
Yeah, this one, I'm afraid, is going to be over in quick-fire fashion. There's no way back for Lee Wei Hong here. He gave it a good go, was competitive at the start of the first, raced into a 4-love lead at the start of this second game. But Jason Tay, well...
He just had to remain composed, keep his strokes upright. It should be an easy game for him.
Psychologically, I think he's beaten here. It's unfortunate to see. He's given it a real good go, and in the longer rallies, he's had his fair share of success, but... more often than not, particularly in the first game, he had instances like that where he gave away some cheap points, unforced errors, that's just really handed the initiative to Jason Tay, who's now 6 points away from a finals berth in tomorrow's grand final in the men's singles of the Singapore Sports Hub National Open Badminton Championships for 2021. He is the defending champion, remember, and we're getting a glimpse here as to why he was so hard to beat in 2020. And on this form, who do you make favourite between Jason Tay and Vago Nwanda tomorrow?
Wow, this will be a very tough spot for me to determine who are going to win. Jason, if he's on a good day, Jason is easily over Vega, but Vega is a very consistent player, very strong. So it will be interesting. We'll find out on live again tomorrow. Yeah,
look forward to showing you all 5 finals live. Still today, we've got another 3 semi-finals to come. The women's singles that will start in 25 minutes' time. The men's doubles, Supatra and Prakaso against Yang and Wong, and then the women's doubles, Lim and Lim Ming Hui against Megan Lee and Oh Yi-Shing. Here, been a couple of points, or 1 point, for Lee Wei Hong, make that 2. So I don't think I've been premature in writing Jason T's ticket up in ink for tomorrow's final, but he doesn't want to take his eye off the ball too much. Remember, he lost 4 straight points at the start of this game. Just can't see Lee Wei Hong being able to win the points on serve he needs to get back into this. 4 away from victory. Incidentally, the women's semi-final that's underway already on court number 2 between Jaslyn Yan and Insaraya Khan is an absolute nail-biter, 9-all in the first game there. As Lee Wei Hong wins another fine point, maybe now playing with the pressure off. Well, Lee Wei Hong is making the scoreline respectable in this second, but Jason Tay ticks around to 3 points from victory. And when you give him that kind of elevation in the middle of the court, he just puts the points away every time. Too good, Kang.
Yeah, good sportsmanship by Wei Hong right here. Still doing his best, trying to save all the shots coming from Jason.
This has been an impressive performance from Jason Tay. Tomorrow's final will be interesting because both he and Vago Nwanda have had easy paths to the final, assuming Jason closes this out with his 10 match points at his disposal now. It's going to be a high quality encounter. That one drops in and it's game and match to number 2 seed, defending champion Jason Tay. He's beaten Lee Wei Hong 21-12, 21-10. He'll take on Indonesia's Vago Nwanda in tomorrow's final that will also bring you live and reaction to that performance, Kang, because Jason Tay really showed his class in that matchup.
Yeah, it's a really good preview of how Jason will do in the finals tomorrow. And we can really expect something special from him tomorrow.
So we now know the lineup for the mixed doubles and the men's singles final. In the mixed doubles, number 3 seeds, Andy Kwek and Grace Chua, who are brilliant in coming out on top in 3 games against Chris Nanta and Lim Ming Hui. It'll be Kwek and Chua taking on Terry He and Elaine Chua, 3 seed playing 2 seed in the mixed doubles finals. And in the men's singles final tomorrow, it'll be number 2 seed and defending champion Jason Tay taking on Vago Nwanda of Indonesia. Jason Tay just coming out on top against Lee Wei Hong by 21-12, 21-10, and we'll be back in just a couple of moments. Do stay with us. It's just over 20 minutes until the women's singles semi-final on number 1 court between number 4 seed Megan Lee and number 2 seed Grace Chua. And the big question we were asking is, can Grace Chua back up after that epic mixed doubles victory alongside Andy Kwek. We'll find out live in just over 20 minutes' time. Do stay with us. More to come from Kang Yang and myself live from the OCBC Arena. It's our continuing coverage of the Singapore Sports Hub National Badminton Open Championships of 2021. welcome back to the OCBC Arena in Singapore for the continuing coverage of semi-finals Saturday and the Singapore Sports Hub National Open Badminton Championships 2021. And we've got a mouth-watering women's singles semi-final in prospect here. Number 2 seed Grace Chua, who was part of the mixed doubles pairing, along with Andy Kwek, who dumped out the number 1 seeds in the mixed doubles semi-final earlier in an epic that went almost an hour. Now having to back up very quickly to take on a youngster who's shown so much promise in her pathway to reaching this semi-final, Megan Lee, the number 4 seed. If you're just joining us, Grace Chua and Andy Kwek coming through in that 3-game epic against Chris Nanta and Lim Ming Hui. And moments ago, Jason Tay, routine 12 and 10 win against number 3 seed Lee Wei Hong, the number 1 seed, through to the men's singles semi-final, where we'll take on Indonesia's Vega Nwanda tomorrow. And again, we'll also show you live. But Kang Niang alongside me, Megan Lee against Grace Chua. Fascinating. Megan Lee, obviously the fresher of the players. This is their first game since Thursday. And Grace Chua, who surely must be feeling the exertions of that win earlier. How do you see this one going, Kang?
Yeah, it will be a great advantage over for Megan right now. For Patrick just said that Grace Chua is clearly exciting and interesting mixed double round for 3 sets. So we shall see how Megan's going to take advantage of that and take this round for her win.
Players just knocking up right now. And obviously it'll be in Grace's mind to get this out of the way early. And of course for Megan Lee, she faces the opposite dilemma really to Grace Chua, and that she has still another doubles game to come after this. Immediately following this women's singles semi-final, we'll have the men's doubles between Sapatra and Picasso against Aaron Yang and Owen Wong, and then Bernie Slim and Lim Ming Hui, who will be looking to get revenge after her mixed doubles defeat. They take on Eun Shi Ying and Megan Lee, who's also in the unseeded pairing that have made the semi-finals of the women's doubles. So we'll be seeing Megan again today, whatever happens here. But will we also be seeing her in the women's singles final tomorrow? About to find out. It's Grace Chua in the burgundy shirt and Megan Lee in the blue. Our referee here, our umpire Vivian Tay, and the service judge Lydia Lau. Megan Lee to serve. Goes deep with the first serve. Out, good leave from Grace Chua that. So first blood to the number 2 seed, Kang.
Yep, so we shall see how this whole match will go. Deep drive by Grace Chua.
And she's made the ideal start here, winning 2 comfortable points early. Megan Lee, just 16 years of age. It's great to see someone so young coming through to compete at the very top level. But Grace, although not a pensioner, has certainly got the edge on her in terms of experience, as that's a misjudged leave
right on the line
from Megan Lee. Incidentally, the other women's singles semi-final, which is going on currently between Jaslyn Yan and Insara Khan, is an absolute nail-biter. Every chance that one's going to go to a 3rd game. Jaslyn taking out the first game 21-12, but she's trailing 17-14 in the second. Here, Grace Chua is out the blocks very fast here. And that'll be 5, just lost that one in flight by the look of it, Megan Lee.
Sharp cross court by Grace, dragging her opponents from left to right. In control of game right now, Grace.
Very much so. 6-love. It's the strongest start we've seen to a game, although should be said in the second game of the men's singles semi-final, Lee Wei Hong raced into a 4-love lead against Jason Tay before losing that second game 21-10. But Megan won't want to get too much further behind here, because Grace obviously might have fatigue coming into play. So Megan's off the mark with that forehand going wide from Grace Chua.
Oh, shot by Megan. Well returned.
Oh, somehow got down to it, but didn't get enough of the shuttlecock
Not enough.
under their racket to get it up and over. So Grace re-establishing a 6-point lead in this first game, and Grace does look like she's come out to try and win this quickly. I mean, it would be some ask for her tomorrow to have played 2 semis today, won them both, and 2 finals tomorrow.
Yep, she will have busy schedule for today and tomorrow if she wins today.
Oh, lovely effort across court, but just didn't creep over the net. So Megan Lee back within not exactly touching distance, but hailing distance at least.
Service by Megan. Wow.
Oh my word, how did
What
that clear the net?
deception. Good cross court by Megan.
Oh, lovely put
Wow,
away.
lovely.
Brilliant pick-up from Megan Lee. This is the best rally of the match so far.
Wow.
Might be telling to see who comes out on top of it. Could be a huge
Nice
point for
back
Megan Lee.
shot.
This
Wow,
if she can
nice
find the
cross
point.
court.
And she finds the point quite brilliantly. Well, already the sweat pouring off the 16-year-old, but that was a wonderfully worked point. A couple of times there, she looked like the point had passed her by, but she came back to take it, and
Definitely.
she's back to within 4.
Oh, nice jump shot. Wow.
Too good
Great,
from Grace
great
Stewart
move by
on
Grace.
that point, but some really absorbing rallies early in this game.
Yep.
Megan just a little bit slow to start, maybe nerves. She'll be aware, I'm sure, that these games are now being filmed and broadcast. Great to see so many of you watching on the Facebook page, incidentally. I hope to have you with us for the remainder of today and for the finals tomorrow.
Great shot to serve.
Lovely deft touch from Grace Stewart. She sent Megan to the back end of the court. She's mixing up really well here. Grace Stewart.
Wow.
In
Nice
these long
backhand.
rallies, Megan Lee is proving equal to it for now. Not
Wow.
that time though.
Just slightly off the court. You see the exhaustion on Grace after a tough fight in the mixed doubles previously.
Will Willard Peter Lee is on Facebook cheering on for Megan. Another big point takes it to double digits, so Grace Stewart is racing into a lead here. She seems determined to try and close this one out quickly. Of course, if you're new to badminton, all these matches best of 3 race to 21 points in each game. You have to win by 2 clear points, and she'll go to the midway point of the first game, leading by 8 here, Grace Stewart. What do you think Megan can do differently, Kang? I mean, she's played some wonderful shots in those protracted rallies, but at the moment, Grace Stewart just looks to have her measure. And of course, as you've already mentioned in some of our previous games, these players know each other so well, don't they? As part of national camps and general high-intensity training, they know each other's games so well. Maybe at the moment, Grace's superior experience, just seeing her quite comfortably getting the better of this one early.
Yep, that was what's going to highlight. And then Grace is a very experienced player, knowing how she's well prepared for such another long game if that's the case, and also know how to distribute her energy spans throughout the entire game.
I can tell you that it's desperately tight in the second game of the other semi-final. Oh, and the stretch, Grace unable to get there this time.
You can see the sweat on Megan right now. Grace has definitely put much extent on the game.
It's a lot of
That
pressure
stretches in.
on a youngster
Yep.
as looks like Intila Khan and Justin Hoy are going to a deciding game over in the other court in use for this championship in the women's singles. 12-4 now, Grace Chua leads. Watch that one very carefully, Grace.
Judgment.
It drops
By
out.
Grace.
So 13-4, she's racing away with this. This is the most one-sided game we've seen across what has been so far 5 absorbing games of badminton. The mixed doubles going the distance and the men's singles going in straight games, but none of Jason Tay's games against Lee Won Hong were as one-sided as this one is early. Oh, that was always going to be put away eventually. She had no option there, Megan, but just to keep trying to pop it back up. But this is dominant badminton from Grace Chua, who, remember, has had a very, very busy afternoon already, having been on court in and out for an hour in the mixed doubles win for herself and Andy Queck, but she's racing away to book her second final appearance of the weekend. By the looks of things, Megan going to have a job to do to get back into this, and psychologically she's going to have to readjust to try and get competitive in the second as well.
What a pick up by Megan from the drop shot.
Oh, wonderfully put away.
Wonderful.
Just too good at the moment, Grace, and Megan is battling brilliantly, but just unable to get competitive. Remember, this is number 2 seed Grace Chua against number 4 seed Megan Lee. Number 1 seed has been taken the distance over on the other court. Jaslyn Hoy now 1-1 in games against Intila Khan. Been monitoring the deciding game, that one very closely here.
Nice deception by Megan. Right.
Megan gets a point on the ball, but she still trails by double digits, just 6 points away, Grace Chua, from putting 1 foot into tomorrow's final. That's a mistake on the serve.
Let's see the experience coming into play right here from Grace. Being really calm, in control of the whole game.
Yeah, she doesn't look phased. I mean, looking at her, you'd never guess that she'd already been on court in a high-intensity battle for an hour.
Yep.
Megan, just a couple too many errors for her liking here. She really is racing away with this. And just to give you an indication of how good a performance this is in the first game by Grace, well, Grace has come through a tight game yesterday against Eung Yi Shing, and Megan, well, she was 17-16 victor over Shi Bin Tan, having been a 7-10 victor against Erin Kasuma in the round of 16. So whichever way you shake it down, Grace is being supremely dominant here in a game that most people expected to be a little bit closer than it's proving to be. A bit too ambitious there, going cross-court with that trajectory. But when you're 17-5 in front, now 17-6, those are the kind of chances you can take. Now maybe she's just starting to find her stride, Megan. Might be too late for this game, but hope for her in the second. She does look quite tired, though. Helped by that going wide from Grace. If you looked at the two players' body language now, Kang, you'd say it was Megan that had already been on court for an hour. Poor girl looks absolutely shattered, doesn't she? She only played 18 points.
She looked really drained.
Sometimes the adrenaline can kick in, though, and lead to a resurgence.
You can see just how nice Grace's footwork is. Always ready to receive shots.
Well, I think it's important for Grace Chua to put this away early, because even if she ends up falling over the finishing line in this first game, Megan's going to be getting some encouragement from some of the points she's winning now.
Yep.
Oh, my word, that was marvellous.
High quality shots from Grace.
And she's made a mistake
so
leaving that,
nice.
Megan. First point for what seems like a minute for Grace Chua. 18-8. 3 away from taking out the first game. A reminder, after this, the men's double semi-final between Albert Sapatra and Prakaso against Aaron Yang and Ho-Win Wong. Unseeded Sapatra and Procrasso against the number 2 seeds in that one. And then we wrap up our semi-final coverage on this Saturday with the women's double semi-final between Bernice Lim and Lim Ming-hui and Megan Lee, who we're seeing here. We'll see her again in women's doubles action later against Lim Ming-hui with her partner Eun Yi-shing, who Grace Chua actually beat yesterday in the singles 20 and 13. Into the net it goes for Megan. That will bring about 11 game points for Grace Chua. And this has been very routine. Megan showed glimpses, but she needs to find more consistency in the second game, wouldn't you say so?
Yep.
Okay.
There must be some changes made to Megan's playing style if he wants to take a chance against Grace.
11 game points. She only needs one. 21-9. Grace Chua takes out the first game. So if you were her coach, Megan Lee, Kang, what would you be saying to her now?
Yeah, I think you have to know that the advantage of the opportunity, where knowing that Grace has played a very tough game previously, and really move her around the court. And have to be concerned on errors as well. He has a lot of errors in the first set. So yeah, Megan has to be aware of the errors and really push Grace Chua around the court.
Meanwhile, on court number 2, the number 1 seed is being given a torrid time against Insira Khan, who leads in the deciding game 5-2. So number 1 seed's in trouble there. Number 2 seed not seemingly in any trouble here, having taken out the first 21-9. And looking the fresher of the 2 players, remarkable really, bearing in mind that she's already played an hour on the court. Great to see again so many of you watching on the I Love Badminton Facebook page. The Singapore Badminton Association doing such good work to ensure that these championships took place. So, second game. It's Grace Chua to serve. Is this going to be as lopsided as the first? I think Megan needs to start strongly here, otherwise it could be over quickly. Nice little drop shot. Grace does well to pick it up.
Well,
again, Grace recovers brilliantly to get the ascendancy back in this point, and that's just too good. Megan had 2 chances there to close out the point, but Grace was equal to both efforts to do so. And she pinches the first point. Well found up by Megan that time, and that one's gone wide. So important she levels up there. That was a well worked and well won point by the 16-year-old. She is looking the more tired of the 2. A reminder, if you are just joining us, Grace Chua has already been on court for an hour and 20 minutes this afternoon. 20 minutes in this one and an hour in the 3-game epic, where her partner, Andy Kweken herself, eliminated number 1 seed Danny Krishnata and Lim Ming-hui. Megan with her first lead in a game in the match. Can she produce what would be a miraculous turnaround? Will fatigue hit Grace at any moment in proceedings? She's got a chance to put this away, watches it and wisely leaves it.
No, even though Grace has played a hard game, he's still very aggressive. She's still very aggressive. I look at her smashes. On to Megan.
Gone wide. Megan just snatching at that. It's quite a cheap point for Grace to pick up. She leads 3-2 now. Her first turn to lead in this second game, and this was where she really pulled away in the first game. Very early on, she put that first game beyond any doubt. I think it was 11-4. She led at the midway mark. That one just dropping on the wrong side of the net from a Grace Chua perspective, so it's 3 each. Certainly keeping this game tight to is Megan Lee. And speaking of tight, it's still terribly tight over on court 2, 8-6 in the decider. And Sarah Khan leads against number 1 seed Jaslyn Yan. Good pick up from Megan. Sent to the back of the court though. Not once but twice. Mixing up her stroke play marvellously as Grace Chua. And she comes up with the goods once again.
Grace Chua really...
Well, she's achieved the aim of tightening up this second game compared to the first, Kang, but you still just get the feeling Grace has got more gears to go through here, and Megan maybe inexperienced counting against her in this game so far.
Yep, Grace is really using experience as an advantage right now. You know, really effectively moving Megan around the courts. You know, putting the fatigue down on her instead.
It's a terrible leave on the serve as well, giving Grace a very cheap point. Again, that's an experience thing more than anything. She's clearly got all the shots in her locker, Megan. A wonderful prospect for the future of Singapore badminton at just 16. But at the moment, she's having to give second best to her elder, Grace Chua, despite the exertions Grace suffered earlier, and that's just drops wide. I thought for a minute she'd timed that to perfection. I'll give Megan the benefit of the doubt that that was a smart leave. So 5-4, she's staying competitive here. Just 1 point in this one at 5-4. Nine all, incidentally, in the decider. We've got a perfect view. Unfortunately, we can't bring you both games live, but both Kang and myself with the ability to monitor what's happening on court number 2, where another epic is in progress.
Exciting game going on for the women's singles in court 1.
Megan Lee on serve, trailing Love 1 and 4-5. Far more competitive in the second game. Mountain to climb though. Not made any easier by coming out second best on that rally as well. Lovely shot from Megan. How did Grace pick that one up? But pick it up she did, and she's still in the point. And again, not just in the point, she's in the ascendancy in the point. Bad leave this time from Grace though. That drops in. And back to within a point goes Megan Lee. Tell you something with the fatigue, Kang. If she can just keep this tight and maybe pinch the second game, you never know.
Yep. This is a good way for Megan to keep the rally going. Hope she holds on to it, and really the fatigue comes in for Grace right here, and it'll be a good opportunity for her to catch up in the game.
Megan on serve. Big point here to potentially level it up in the early part of this second game. Don't think she can afford to be behind at the turn here. She needs to be the first girl to reach 11 to really have a chance of getting back into this. Lovely disguised shot across the court from Grace Chua, and that's going to... Oh, that was dropping wide, but she played it. Is she going to pay the price for ending up playing that?
Well,
another one that would have been very close. I think that was the right decision to play at that time.
Beautiful rally going on right now.
Oh, just too much. And Megan Lee outlasted in that rally, really. A couple of chances for Grace Chua to win it, but she played the safe options, and Megan taking a tumble. And she continues to look the more tired of the two. Change of shuttlecock requested by Grace Chua. What about the game going on court number 2? 11-10. Intaraya Khan leading in the decider against Jaslyn Yan. Will that go down as a big shock? I mean, Intaraya Khan, number 3 seed against number 1 seed, but Already we've seen the #1 seeds dumped out in the mixed doubles semi-finals. We've seen the #1 seed Joel Coe dumped out in the quarter-finals of the men's singles. So far, in the 2 final lineups we have confirmed, there's no #1 seed present, and it might be about to go 3 on the spin if Jaslyn can't pull this one out against Insira Khan, who's got a fragile lead of 11-10 in the decider.
It's really the last trigger right now that, you know, Jaslyn and Shira shall see how 2 of them can even out.
No #1 seed, of course, in the men's doubles final either. 3 of the 4 semi-finalists in the men doubles are unseeded. #2 seed still there, Aaron Yang and Owen Wong. And the #1 seeds of Bernice Lim and Lim Meng Kui are in the women's doubles semi-final that we'll see in our final game of our coverage here this afternoon. That's wide from Grace. He's back to within a point now, Megan. Could get interesting if she can just find a way to pinch this second game. Wouldn't rule her out, even on the evidence of that very much one-way traffic in the first game. She's just got to try and find a way to try and win this, and she can't do it by ultimately making poor shot decisions as she did there. Grace goes very high with the serve, gives Megan a chance, but almost instantly Grace manages to pick up the initiative in the point, and another shot goes long. And here is where she's just starting to open up again. A 3-point lead, the biggest lead she's had in this second game. Supreme height with that serve.
Wow.
Wonderful pick-up from Grace Chua. And she watches another one drop long.
Fatigue is really coming into play right now for Megan. You know, I think
the incredible thing is Grace's fitness levels. We talked about that hour-long
Yeah.
game that she played, what, no more than 2 hours ago. And to recover from that and send young Megan Lee all the way around the court and still manage to look the fresher of the 2 players. Is she going to go into the turn with a...
wow, what a pick up.
Oh, she couldn't pick that one up. Megan Lee finally grinding out a point just to stay competitive in this second game. Insira Khan with a 2-point lead over on court #2 in the decider against the #1 seed Jaslyn Yan. Oh, great power with that. Megan unable to get it up and over the net. So midway mark of the second game, and it's a 4-point lead. And even though she's been more competitive, Megan, in that second game, you do feel it's ominous signs here, don't you, Kang?
Yep. It's going to be interesting to see how Megan's going to, you know, maneuver in this match right now. Looking at it's coming to an end to the second set. Let's see who's going to fall under the power of fatigue right now. We at court 1, Jaslyn looks, you know, doesn't look very comfortable right now, holding on to her back.
Yeah, seems to be an injury over there on court #2, or a slight muscle strain to Jaslyn. #1 seed is in trouble. She's 14-11 down in the decider here. It's been routine for Grace Chua, who's 10 points away from making her second final of the day. Now make that 9. She's sent Megan on the stretch again. I do fear that poor old Jaslyn Yan might be in a bit of trouble on court 2. So no #1 seed through to the final of the mixed doubles, no #1 seed through to the final of the men's singles, and it's a very strong chance there'll be no #1 seed through to the final of the women's singles either, the way things are looking on court 2 here. Megan Lee, having just taken that slide, wants to wipe down the court. And both girls perspiring quite heavily now. Congratulations again to the Singapore Badminton Association for the wonderful steps they've taken to ensure these championships manage to take place. Of course, having been a January event last year, being held in February this year means, unlike so many sports in the world, they've managed to keep up the nature of the competition calendar, even though there's obviously some large gaps elsewhere over the course of the last 9 months. Oh, she's just too good here.
Yep.
13-7.
Grace is really taking full control the entire game.
I think Megan Lee psychologically needs just to try and win a couple of points on her own serve. To do that, she's got to win a service point of Grace Stewart very shortly, and that's proving harder than she thinks. There's another one drops along her judgment. Grace Stewart, both in this game and the mixed doubles, Kang, has been sensational.
Yep. So there's really no effort to tire down the opponent, and we are seeing it in all the errors that Megan is occurring right now.
Megan works a point there just to about stay in touch, but still a mountain to climb. 7 points away from victory, Grace Stewart. Meanwhile, 6 points away from victory is Insara Khan, who leads 15-11 in the decider against Jaslyn Yan, the #1 seed. Good pick up from Grace again.
Shot.
Megan must be wondering what she has to do to take a game or even a point of Grace, who has the answers for everything at the moment. Megan's played some wonderful shots there and still finds herself in the back foot in the rally.
The legs are letting Megan down right now.
She ends up losing the point.
Fatigue's really falling onto Megan right now.
Wish we could put the camera on court too, because Jaslyn Yan is in some discomfort, but just about staying in touch. She trails 12-15 in the decider against Insara Khan. I think it's just a matter of time before Grace Stewart books a place in the women's singles final here. That one's wide, and it's now 5 points away. It's the most comprehensive performance we've seen on the television court here today at the Singapore Sports Hub National Open Badminton Championships of 2021. And in this form, Grace Stewart, you wouldn't want to bet against her on the form she showed with Andy Kwek in dumping out #1 seeds in the mixed doubles. And on this form, bearing in mind Insara Khan or Jaslyn Yan, whoever comes through is going to have a very tough game today.
Yep.
You'd half make Grace favourite, even though she's obviously not the #1 seed. No certainty she'll be playing the #1 seed tomorrow, the way things are. It does look pretty certain that she will be in 2 finals tomorrow. And it'll be very interesting to see how that schedule works out for her tomorrow as well.
Grace is just so ready to receive from Megan. Always one step ahead of Megan right now.
Yeah, she's dominated from start to finish here. There's been no blips, no hint of a comeback really from Megan. She's been more competitive in this second game in terms of what's happened on the court, but the scoreboard still tells a familiar story here.
Yep.
Grace has not had to expand much energy even in these long lengthy rallies.
Wow. As Megan proceed to the longer rallies, Grace just never back up and goes for it.
Well, that was a big point to win, having put so much effort into that point, but she continues to look exhausted, Megan Lee out there. Sure, at the age of 16, the body's still got plenty of developing to do and her fitness levels will improve.
Yep.
But she's being outlasted here as well by Grace Stewart, as well as outplayed at the moment. She is out on her feet and doing really well to stay moderately competitive. I think we have an injury timeout, do we? Over on the other court where Jaslyn Yan continues to struggle as Megan Lee goes wide once more. And it's 3 points away from victory now. Is Megan Lee. So the inevitable here is surely coming, although Grace will be disappointed with that one. A rare error from her.
Yeah, it's been really composed throughout the entire game. Comparing to the mixed doubles match previously, the errors has greatly reduced.
You can see the men doubles pairing getting ready to go. Grace picks it up again. Oh, Oh, that's
a bad error.
bad error, Megan. I think she just took her eye off the shuttlecock there, and it takes Grace Chua to within 2 points of victory. Can tell you, this absolute classic on court 2. We are going to endeavour to spin a camera around to show you the last couple of points if we can, as the number 1 seed's fighting for her life against Insara Khan, Jaslin Yan. And obviously that depends on how quickly this one finishes. And judging by the look of Megan, it might be finished quite soon, because Megan really is shattered. She's done brilliantly to pick up 10 points in the second game. It's been a better second game showing, but ultimately Grace Chua is surely heading to tomorrow's women's singles final. Another mistake there though.
Megan trying to fight back. Doing her best.
Megan Lee's got to find a miraculous run on service points here.
Yep.
Just can't see it. As that one goes
error.
wide though. Well, how many times do you see this in professional sport with athletes just struggling to get over the line? And that's something that could apply as well to Insara Khan, who, despite Jaslin Yan seemingly being out on her feet, we'll try and show you pictures of that in a minute. She's got to within 1 point. 17-16 Khan in the deciding game on court 2 here. We're going to see match points now, and there's going to be 8 of them for Grace Chua, who took the first game out 21-9. Megan Lee's put up more of a fight in the second, but it looks like it's going to be a similar refrain. Can she take this out at the first attempt? Oh, yes, she can. And Grace Chua has been immaculate there. 21-9, 21-12. She has beaten 16-year-old Megan Lee. Congratulations to Megan for a run to the semi-finals. But Grace Chua will be in 2 finals tomorrow, the mixed doubles final and the women's singles final. And now I think if we can, at 17 all in the decider, we might be able to switch one of our cameras around. You'll have to forgive us for what might be a slightly unconventional camera angle, but trust me, it will be worth it if we can pick up the action on court number 2, because Jaslin Yan has been out on her feet for large parts of this deciding game. Insara Khan is led by as many as 4. And now great work from our cameraman Imran, I think, is now going to be able to give you the closing points of the other semi-final in the women's singles. And Kang, we've been half having a eye on this from when it looked like the victory of Grace Chua was a bit of a fait accompli.
Yep.
And now, can we go live to these pictures? We will have to keep you up to date verbally with the score. There you have it. Now that's Insara Khan. She leads 18-17. And again, excuse these camera pictures. This is a bit of bonus action for you. And I think it's going to be worthwhile, because this game is now 18 all in the decider, Kang. Incredible stuff.
Yep. It's been really interesting. And Jaslin has been working her best to fight over a pain on the back right now. And we shall see if she's able to come out on top.
Well, there on the far side of the court, you can see Jaslin Yan, and she has been really struggling. We're going to try and just pick up a better camera angle for you. Our cameraman Imran doing great work to go to the back court to try and give you a better shot for what's going to be, I think, a very intriguing last couple of points. It's Khan in the black, Yan in the purple. Huge point this. Jaslin Yan, the number 1 seed, has trailed throughout this entire deciding game, and she's looked exhausted at times.
Wow.
And somehow she's found a way to edge in front and is 2 points away.
Both of them
from
look
victory.
really tired right now.
You get the feeling there's cramp in play here. Certainly Jaslin Yan looks very uncomfortable. A reminder, we will be back on court number 1 in a moment for the men's doubles semi-final between Albert Sapatra and Picasso against Aaron Yang and Huin Wong. And we've still got to see Megan Lee in action again. There's the confirmation of the doubles match that's coming up here. A bit of bonus action for you from court 2. 19-18 now. The lead for the number 1 seed, but not for long. Insara Khan.
Tied it up.
I half make her favourite to win this now, even though Jaslin's the number 1 seed. Insara Khan is matching Jaslin Yan stroke for stroke here, shot for shot. Apologies, we just lost the pictures, which is very frustrating. I think you'll forgive us if we do stay with the closing stages of this one, even if we miss the first couple of moments of the men's doubles final. It's 19-all in the decider, remember here. Insura Khan, Jaslin Yo sends Insura Khan back. Chance for Insura Khan to put it away. Can't manage it this time. She's going to have to do a lot of work to win this point.
Wow.
Oh, and the net cord. A huge net cord there. And it gives her match point. So Insura Khan, the number 3 seed, now has match point to knock out the number 1 seed. Remember, no number 1 seed has made the final of the mixed doubles or the men's singles. And she is hobbling around and struggling, Jaslin Yan. Can she pick herself up from this position? Match point, Insura Khan on serve. She sends the number 1 seed to the backcourt. Insura Khan snatched at that though. And it was a snatch at that shot. Maybe the tension and the pressure just getting to her momentarily. And again, apologies, we may end up missing the first point or two of the men's doubles, but I think you agree it's worthwhile just to keep you up to date with who will be taking on Grace Stewart in the women's final. Plenty of time for us to enjoy the men's doubles semi-final that will come to you very shortly. So now Jaslin Yan, can she find herself with a match point opportunity? Wonderful reactions from Jaslin. Insura Khan though matching a lovely backhand. Insura Khan manages to pick that one up. A great reaction shot again. Look at this, incredible stuff. A rally to end all rallies, and Jaslin Yan showing why. She is the number 1 seed. She will pick up match point, and as she now seen off the challenge of Insura Khan, she saved a match point, Jaslin Yan. And look at this, she can barely stand up, let alone take the serve on match point. 45 seconds after she saved the match point, Jaslin Yan now has a point to make it through to tomorrow's final that you'll see live here against the number 2 seed Grace Stewart. Has Insura Khan got anything left? We're about to find out. Oh, she hauled about that shot. Insura Khan, she's given the chance up. Jaslin in control of the point, but can she put it away? No, she can't. And we're now 21 each. We are going to even more extra points. Change of shuttlecock. Jaslin Yan, she can barely stand at this point.
Yeah.
She saved 1 match point, lost another. A reminder, Albert Bimo and Yongan Wong will come up shortly. They're just about to start that game, but we do apologise. We are going to stay with this one for reasons which I'm sure you can understand. Winner, remember, to take on Grace Stewart in tomorrow's final. But both Kang and myself had our eyes taken by this game during the closing stages of what was a very one-sided semi-final between Megan Lee and Grace Stewart. And I'm glad we've come back to it now, because both players have had a match point. Who will be getting the next match point? Will it be Jaslin or Insura? It's in. It will be Insura Khan. It was a terrible lead from Jaslin. Match point number 2 for Insura Khan.
You still have to look at Jaslin's perseverance in this game to continue to fight. In this match, starting from almost 12 points.
The question is, Insura Khan got any energy left to close the game out? The answer's no, and you do just get that feeling at 22-all that with that match point again saved, Jaslin goes back to being favourite. How many times are you going to be given match point opportunities against the number 1 seed? She's had 2 and they've gone. One thing's for sure, she's going to need a lot of recovery off the back of this, Jaslin, to get the better of Grace Stewart tomorrow. Of course, it plays in the favour that Grace Stewart's had to play 2 games today. And that's, of course, assuming Jaslin comes out on top here. She's had 1 match point. Is she about to get another? Oh, she could have left that. She played it, and she now knows that she'll be facing another match point. So 2 match points have come and gone from Insura Khan. Now, the second match point for Jaslin Yan.
We shall see if Jaslin can clinch this win and close the game up.
I can tell you they are underway in the men's doubles semi-final that we will return to in a moment. You won't miss certainly the end of the first game or the concluding stages here. This can't go on much longer, surely, can we? 32, 23, 22. Jaslyn, can she put the game away now? Oh, she can't. No, it's gone wide. I thought for a minute it dropped in. Did you think that had dropped in? It was desperately close.
It was desperately close.
I wouldn't mind seeing the replay of that, but there's no replay for the players. Insura Khan and Jaslyn Yan play out an absolute classic, and it's the number one seed that goes through 24-22 in the third, but I wouldn't mind seeing that line call again on replay. Let's cross back now to our promised game on number one court that features the number two seeds, Aaron Yang and Wong Jing, against Albert Sapatra and Bimo Prakaso, the unseeded pairing, who are nearest to us in black, with Wong and Yong over on the far side in the grey. What a game that was in the women's semi-final, and Jaslyn Yan can barely walk. She can't even pick up her kit bag at the moment. Meanwhile here, an interesting start, 4-all between these two double pairings. Now 5-4. Oh, great reactions from Albert Sapatra. And they now take a 6-4 lead.
This game we shall see how Bimo will take over the game with his heavy smashes.
And what you've seen of these four players so far this week, who are you making favourites to go through here? Would you automatically go with the number two seeds?
It's really it's really unpredictable as right now. But I'll predict that Albert and Bimo will be on top for this round. Looking at the power of Bimo, how complete Albert is, they are my favourites to me.
So Albert and Bimo, given the nod from Kang, they lead by a point in this first game. Oh, look at that, the reactions. So sharp. And what we are going to see here clearly is a real mix-up of shots from both sides. They're going to be mixing power with precision. There's a bit of precision for you.
Wow, what a jump shot by Bimo.
Sapatra and Picasso.
Caught the opponent off guard.
Still one more match to come after this on number one court. Bernice Lim and Lim Min Hui, the number one seeds in the women's doubles, take on Megan Lee and Ng Yixing. Be interesting to see how Megan comes out of that disappointing semi-final scoreline, the young 16-year-old. Because she looked very tired there, Megan, didn't she, at the end of that women's singles semi-final. She's now got to try and power up to take on the number one seeds.
Yep. Mistake by Bimo. Wow, the power from Bimo.
Into the net it goes.
Wow.
There's the power I spoke about, and Sapatra and Picasso just look to be the stronger, as you suggested, Kang, in these early stages. Certainly he's a big unit, isn't he, Picasso? When he fires that shuttlecock at you, you know it's going to come at pace, and they lead 11-8. They have the advantage through the first half of the opening game. And while we take in this short break, let's run you through the winners today so far. Andy Kwak and Grace Chua winning their semi-final in the mixed doubles, where they'll take on tomorrow the other winners from today's semi-finals, Terry He and Elaine Chua. Then Jason Tay, 12-10 against Lee Wee Hong. He'll take on Vega Nwanda, who was a 10-17 winner against Darian Ng. So Tay and Nwanda in tomorrow's Singapore Sports Hub National Open Badminton Championships 2021 men's singles final. Grace Chua will take on an incredible Jaslyn Yan, the number one seed, the only number one seed to qualify for the finals up to this point. But how much has that victory taken out of her? Chua and Jaslyn will play tomorrow. And in the mixed doubles, it'll be the winner of this to take on the winner of Terry He and Lo Ki-han, or Chinsuki and Co. And just to confuse it, because of the schedules at the moment, due on next on number two court is actually the women's double semi-final, and that's of course to aid the recovery of both Megan Lee and Lim Ming Kui, who've already been in action once today.
It'll be interesting to see Jaslyn to play again tomorrow, knowing that she's having a comfortable time on her back. So let's see how she performs tomorrow as well.
And they're pulling away now, Supatra and Picasso. What can you tell us about these two players, Kang? I know you've been out and about. Again, just explain to people, they'll be slightly confused while we've had a couple of unseeded players today winning through. Obviously, Vega Nwanda, an Indonesian, unseeded, getting through to the men's final, and Supatra and Picasso also unseeded. Is it down to just local ranking points? They didn't have to win a seeding in this competition?
Yeah, so basically they have a game they have played to determine who are the first seed, second seed and third seed as it goes on. And Bimo and Albert are new pairings, and we see them, it's a new opportunity for them to play. So we decide, and they are basically the black horse for the men's double, knowing they are not seeded. Individually, both players are really good players, and during this tournament, we see them, partnership really very well, and they are able to come out on top of many games.
Look at that, the whole 1-2 punch, no response from it. You can't live with two shots like that in quick succession. And they're edging towards the finish line in the first game. And of course, should they win this one in relative ease and win the second one in relative ease, then the 1 hour rule might come into play for Megan Lee. Because there's every chance that this game might take slightly shorter than an hour. And Megan did look like she needed some recovery time. Well, they're trying their best to hang in here, Young and Wong, but it's one-way traffic at the moment.
If you look carefully, observe how Albert and Bimo placement of the smashers on the opponents is just perfect. Landing on either on the court, the courts are empty, or straight onto the players. These are good examples of how smashers should be on doubles.
You might just be able to see on the left-hand side of your screen in a moment the two women's doubles pairings getting ready for their semi-final. That's Li Jingyi and Li Yingxing, Alexis Lee and Sabrina Lee against Lin Yuan and Li Ruin. Should also point out our umpire for this game here in this men's doubles is So Bi Yi, with Patrick Liang, the service line judge. And this is all of a sudden turning into a routine afternoon at the office for Supatra and Picasso.
You can see the draining of Young and Wong right now, trying to come back during this game.
Trouble is, they've just got to find, once you get this far behind in a game, it almost starts to be a psychological exercise to make the decision to try and win some points to build up confidence, or just get this game out the way as quickly as possible.
Yep.
So you can turn your attention to starting on a level playing field. Winning service points on their own serve has been very, very difficult. The service returns have been excellent, and they're just on the offense, Supatra and Picasso, all the way through these points, and they've got 9 game points in very quick time indeed. I don't think they've been on court here more than about 12 minutes. And they only take one of them. Yep. So 21-11, the unseeded Supatra and Picasso are halfway to dumping out the number 2 seeds. And I suppose the poor performance of the number 1 seeds in this competition so far, the men's doubles top seeds long since exited, makes what Jaslyn Yan did even more impressive, coming through 24-22 in the decider against Insara Khan. What do you say if you're Young and Wong's coach here? Any way back for them on the evidence of what you've seen through the first 32 points here, Kang?
Yep. I would say that you have to be careful of how, if Bimo is at the back of the court, you have to be concerned of his meshes. And also for Albert, he has really nice clean shots on the front as well. So we have to really move the two of them. One of the disadvantages of two big men in the court will be the spaces among them. So I think the best is to really move them around and get them to really reduce the chance, increasing the speed of the game, so that they could not catch up during the matchup.
So they take out the first 21-11. Of course, the 1 hour rule might come into effect with poor old Megan Lee. Megan will be hoping that Young and Wong can make a comeback here to give her more recovery time, but it looks like very unlikely she's going to get any more than an hour. As Supatra and Picasso pick up a very cheap point to start the second game. soon as they bring height into the equation, it's Zapatra and Picasso that dominate, and even when they're playing just over the net.
So I'm sure
Are you telling me they're not used to playing with each other, Zapatra and Picasso? They've just been thrown together, because the way they're playing is as if they've been together as a doubles pairing all their life.
Yep, that's what was amazing.
Of course, the #1 seeds in the men's doubles, Terry He and Lo Kian Hian, just to correct myself, they are still in the competition. They play last on court #2 today.
It will be an interesting matchup for them as well. Both are very experienced players playing for SEA Games and international competition as well.
Oh, how did he pick that one up to start with? They managed to come back to win the point, Yong and Wong. But it's absorbing stuff now. Well, have we written them off too quickly? They trailed Love 2 at the early part of this second game, but they've come back. And certainly they're quality enough players that if the intensity drops from Zapatra and Picasso, Yong and Wong are still more than capable, the #2 seeds, of coming back into this.
The pace has really picked up as well from Yong and Wong.
Wide. Unable to edge themselves in front. Should point out, there's a very closely contested game through the first 14 or so points of the first game, but it was the second half with Zapatra and Picasso really ran away with it. And they're starting to go through the gears at the start of this second game as well.
Looks so effortless from Bimo as he smashes.
Good lead. That was really well left, because it was a low trajectory there, but he could see there was enough velocity on the shuttlecock to send it long, and they're opening up again here. Zapatra and Picasso.
3-point lead by Bimo and Albert.
And that was needed. Great to see so many of you watching. On the We Love Badminton Facebook page.
Well, powerful smashes.
Again. Just signs though that Yong and Wong are managing to deal with the power a little bit better in this second game. Unfortunately, the distance sometimes still letting them down as that one sails long. Teo Song Kang cheering on Aaron and Hao-in on Facebook. Do let us know in the Facebook comment section which players you're supporting here. Yong and Wong at the moment need all the support they can get, I think. Oh my word. Save 1, save 2, save 3, save 4, save 5. Surely one of these will be put away, and eventually it is.
By Bimo.
5 big smashes came hurtling back to them, but the 5th one was a bridge too far.
Yep. Good save by Yong and Wong to keep the rally going just now. Wow. What a leaf by Bimo.
They're in cruise control at this point, aren't they? The #2 seeds are struggling to find a way to unease them, and again, a mistake.
No, they're really pulling their scores apart.
Yeah, they're pulling away now, and psychologically again, having lost the first game so convincingly, in almost identical fashion, really competitive at the start of it, but then just fading away as they edge towards 11 points. Difficult to see how they can come back here as another one goes long. And it's a 6-point lead, and it's, I think, just the other 11 points they need now, you feel, are just delaying the inevitable.
Wow, what a reaction by Bimo.
It's more like it. But again, when you get yourself into this position, you've got to ask yourself, have you got a strong enough service game to win 5, 6, 7 points on the spin, which is what you really need to do. And we've not seen any evidence of that. The service returns are just too good from the pair you can see on the far side of your screen in black. There's one of them, though. And again, complacency can always creep in, can't it, Kang?
Yep.
When you're so comfortable in a match situation.
You see how Wong and Yong are going to push Bimo and Albert apart.
I'll tell you what,
the smash.
The mortgage, wouldn't you,
Wow.
on Picasso putting those away.
Yep.
When it's dollied up to him in the centre of the court at that height, he really has time to pick his spot, and laser-like precision means you're just not going to get it back. So 11-6 at the turn in the second. Close game in progress in the women's doubles on court number 2 with Sabrina Lee and Alexis Lee up against Lin Yuan and Yu Ruin. 6-all in the first in that one. And after this, a reminder, we've still got the women's doubles semi-final. Number 1 seeds Bernice Lim and Lim Ming Hui looking to bounce back from losing the mixed doubles semi-final earlier. Lim Ming Hui up against the unseeded Megan Lee and Eun Yi Xing. Megan Lee also looking to bounce back, having been taken apart really by Grace Chua in the women's singles semi-final. 12-6 now.
Leave on the serve. Wow, got the
Again,
net.
you think the service return has put them in a pocket, but Saputra and Picasso have all the answers here. And they are galloping to victory at this stage. A reminder, we'll be back at the Singapore Sports Hub tomorrow at the OCBC Arena for the 5 finals. You'll be with me tomorrow, I hope, Kang?
Yep.
Kang has been
Good judgment by Bimo.
wonderful on comms with me today. Yeah, that's gone long again. Everything about their game, it does look like they've been playing as a team for a decade here. Never mind just thrown together for the tilt at these championships. And on what we've seen so far, it'll be interesting to see how Terry He and No Kian Hian play later on, but these guys are going to give even the number 1 seeds a favourite if they get through against Wesley and Junsuki later on. 15-6. 6 points away. About to make it 5 because they've got no answers to this power play. It's gone long though. Well, just as I've given them the commentator's curse, they finally failed to put a point away on one of those long protracted power rallies.
It's one of the few errors that Albert and Bimo has committed. Long serve.
Oh, they're getting their groove on now. It's too little too late, you fear, but that's the first time in a while they've won 2 consecutive points in a row.
Yep.
They've got 1 on their own serve. Now they need to try and rattle off another 7. Easier said than done against Sapatra and Picasso's power precision game.
Yep. Look at Albert, always ready to push the ball down on the opponent downwards, being very aggressive.
Oh, I'll tell you what.
Wow.
Well, I've got a feeling this is the first time in the game they've won 3 points on the spin.
Yep.
They've not been winning too many service points of their own.
Let's see how Bimo and Albert's going to bounce back from extreme mistakes.
Sure, Megan Lee's enjoying this mini comeback as it delays her arrival on number 1 court. That one's going wildly long to move Sapatra and Picasso within 5 points of victory. That's 16-15. 16-9, I should say.
Wow, nice receive by Albert. Wow, nice.
They're sending them all over the court here. They're working so hard, Young and Wong. To their eternal credit, they're up against it here, but they're battling for every precious point. Rally of the game, this one so far.
Yep.
Rally of the match.
Great smashes by Wong and Yong.
And they come out on top, Young and Wong. Well, if they are to finish, at least they're finishing with a flourish. 17-9 now. Apologies, I thought Young and Wong had taken that point. My eyesight must be deceiving me. It goes the way
went to the net
of Sapatra and Picasso. Due to safe distancing measures, Kang myself quite a way away from the court.
Oh, right in the box.
And they pick up a good service point. Oh, they're surely too far back to come into a competitive position here, Young and Wong, but credit to them, they've taken the runners-up prize of coming out on top in, without doubt, the best rally of the match so far.
They put out really great rallies, trying to push the opponent to the maximum. basketball.
That's into the net, no, and the number 2 seeds are now just 3 points away from elimination. Aaron Young and Ho-Win Wong. Into the net it goes, and they claw another point back. Well, they've matched their total from the first game. Mr. Patra and Picasso still needing to get 3 to get over the line. A reminder, Bernice Lim and Lim Ming-Hui against Megan Lee, and Eung Yi-Shing is next. It'll be fascinating to see how Megan Lee's come out of her semi-final, because she was beaten 9-12 by Grace Chua and looked absolutely shattered at the end of it, both physically and mentally.
Yep.
And of course, Lim Ming-Hui will have been stewing for most of the afternoon, having gone out with her number 1 seeded partner in the mixed doubles, Danny Krishnanta. They were beaten by Andy Crack and Grace Chua. The big story of the afternoon really from here, Kang, is Grace Chua making not 1 but 2 finals. She'll be in the mixed doubles and the women's singles tomorrow.
We shall see how he's going to coordinate these 2 games tomorrow as well. It's going to be definitely harder than what she had today.
19-12, Supatra and Procosso. They'll find out who they're going to play, the winners of this game, in the final match of the day on court 2, as Terry He and No Kian Hien take on Kubo Junsuki and Wesley Ko. And match points incoming.
Go pick up by BMO.
Pick up that was. Well, that's another brilliantly worked point. I tell you something, they'll be stewing that they made a less than ideal start in this second game, because as the game's gone on, Young and Wong have got better. Whether that's complacency or Saputra and Procosso taking their foot off the gas, I don't know, but they've certainly been more competitive in the last 5 minutes of this match. Maybe now the pressure's off and they think the match is already lost, they're starting to express themselves a little better.
Wow.
Well, he thought about leaving that, and then he decided to play it, and it's brought about 7 match points for the unseeded Supatra and Procosso against the number 2 seeds, Young and Wong.
Game point number 1. Goes out.
It's out, and that'll be the ball game. 21-11, 20-13. A comprehensive victory for Supatra and Procosso against the number 2 seeds. They'll play the winners of the men's semi-final that will go on last on court 2 between Terry He and Lo Kian Hin and Kubo Junsuki and Wesley Ko. A reminder, coming up, Bernie Slim and Lim Ming-Hui against Megan Lee, the 16-year-old, and Eung Yi-Shing. A quick word on what you've just seen, though. Do you make Supatra and Procosso the favourites to win the double title on that display, Kang?
I'm definitely looking at the following in court 2 men's double. Terry He and Lo Kian Hin, they are my favourites to win the tournament this year. They're the first seed and they are really experienced. They have played many competitions together.
Thank you very much, Kang. Now, do stay with us. We'll take a very short break and then we'll be back with the final match on number 1 court of the day. The 2 limbs, Bernice and Ming-Hui against Megan Lee and Eung Yi-Shing. That's the women's doubles semi-final with the number 1 seeds in action next. Stay with us. Well, welcome back live to the OCBC Arena in the Singapore Sports Hub. It's our final game on semi-final Saturday at the Singapore Sports Hub National Badminton Championships for 2021. And it's the number 1 seeds Bernice Lim and Lim Ming Hui. Lim Ming Hui, a number 1 seed who was dumped out at the semi-final stage in the first game of the day in the mixed doubles, looking to make a final tomorrow against the unseeded 16-year-old Megan Lee and her partner Eun Yi-shing. And Kang Yang, who's alongside me, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how Megan bounces back from the disappointment she suffered just barely an hour ago. And physically, it's a mismatch. What do you think is going to happen in terms of how it pans out on court? You'd obviously have to make the number 1 seed's favourite, I take it.
Yeah, definitely the number 1 seed is my favourite. But let's see how Megan's gonna, expand her body and really take control of her energy spent for this round. Yep.
So Megan, who did look noticeably tired from very early on in her first semi-final of the day, and Lim Ming Hui, who underwhelmed a little bit. Remember, they won the first game 21-18.
Yep.
Danny, Chris Nanta and Him Ming Hui, but were overwhelmed in the end by Grace Chua and Andy Kwek. Incidentally, over on the second court, in progress currently, is the women's doubles semi-final between Sabrina Lee, Alexis Lee, and Lin Yuan and Lu Ruyin. And that one looks to be going the way of the 2 Lees who are in front there. I get the nod of the head to back me up on that from Kang. So let's see how this one unfolds. Reminder, we're back with you tomorrow from 2 p.m, same time for the 5 finals. The mixed doubles semi-final will be between Kwek and Chua against Terry He and Elaine Chua, the number 2 seeds. The men's singles will be Jason Tay, who was so impressive in beating Lee Wei Hong in straight games, against the Indonesian Vega Nwanda. The women's singles will be Grace Chua against an incredible Jaslyn Yan. Quite how Jaslyn recovers from the exertions he went through to win the deciding game against a very spirited Insara Khan by 24 points to 22. Goodness only knows. And of course, the men's doubles will be between Supatra and Picasso, and the winners of the final game of the day on court 2. The number 1 seeds Hien Hian and Junsuki and Wesley Ko. But here, it'll be Bernice Lim and Lim Ming Hui in the red, nearest to you on the camera on the wide shot, and those 2 young ladies, 16-year-old Megan Lee. And how old's Eun Yi-shing, Kang?
Both of them are from sports school. Yi-shing also
so they're both youngsters.
Both youngsters, about 16 years old.
Well, it's a big opportunity for them. Megan
Yep.
Lee fell short in her big opportunity in the semi-final. Against Grace Chua. Will it be a more spirited display here? Well, they've won the first point. Interesting as well, of course, to see how Lim Ming Hui bounces back from the disappointment of the mixed doubles defeat. Well, the answer there is very well, with a great return of serve to pick up the first point for the number 1 seeds.
Wow, Ming Hui playing very aggressive.
Lim Ming Hui, who came up with an uncharacteristic number of errors in that mixed doubles match earlier. She's not messing around early on here. And do you get the feeling this might be over in a blink of the eye? This one, it's starting to look that way. Only 4 points in, isn't it? 2 youngsters that I'm sure improve a huge amount for the run they've made to the semi-finals here in Lee and Eun. But the height, and again, it can't be underestimated, can it, just how important the extra height that the number 1 seeds have in this match?
Yep, it's definitely a great advantage for the first seed. And pulling long rallies and getting the ball high up in the sky, high up in the air will be a great advantage for them as well.
So far, Megan Lee looks to be okay after looking very tired at the end. Of her losing effort in the semi-final.
Lim, Bernice and Minghui taking a 5-point lead.
Very quick indeed. And that's another one that's going to go wide. And racing away with it early. Of course, as you can tell by the names on the jerseys and the word Singapore underneath it, these are two national players, the number 1 seeds, as you'd expect. So anything but a comfortable victory for them here would have been a huge shock, but an 8-1 lead is a remarkable beginning to this. And again, every time they go in the air, they've just got no answer to both Bernice and Lim Minghui's aerial power. Just going back through, Kang, I know you're an expert on the pathways to these semi-finals. How did they go, the two Lims, in terms of what they dropped on the way?
The two Lims had an easy round in the quarterfinals, playing against Faith and Shiping in 21-16, 21-11. And even in the qualifying rounds, they went through it in two straight sets as well.
Yeah, in contrast, Megan and Ung came through 3 marathon games to get the better of Jin Kyung Mok and Chayapon Subhavali, 21-12, 20-22, 21-19. So they've been through the ringer. At least they have got themselves slightly more prominent on the scoreboard, but still 5 points adrift. They can't afford to be throwing up high shuttles. Every time they do, they're just going to be overwhelmed by the power. Keeping it tight and playing the net, you would think, would be their best game plan, but even that's not worked there. And they'll take the turn midway through the first game, trailing by 11 points to 5, and it's pretty much as we'd have expected. Great to see Lim Minghui seemingly not too negative after the disappointment of that mixed doubles defeat with Danny Krishnanta earlier on.
The transition from Bernice and Minghui compared to Megan and Yixing is way more smoother, and how they had no move back and forth, communicating really, really well in this match. Minghui to serve.
Their service has been better here than it was in the latter stages of the mixed doubles game. It was Ung Yixing that got the better of it that time, though, so they win the first point back. Now need to find some service points of their own. It's a good shot, well met by Bernice. Bernice again will go here, and once more the power game and the aerial game giving the two Lims the edge. Great to see the Singapore Sports School, though, Kang, throwing up so many top shuttlers. Now, we've got a winner over on court number 2, haven't we? The Sabrina and Alexis Lee team winning in straight games, winning the second 21-13. So they are through to take on the winners of this one, and the men's doubles game will be the last game coming up on court number 2 to see if it'll be number 1 seeds Terry He and Lo Kian Hian, or Kubo Jonsuki or Wesley Koh to take on Supatra and Picasso, who we saw win so comfortably against Aaron Yong and Hao-Win Wong moments ago on court number 1. Meanwhile, back here, we've just talked about two Lims battling through, or two Lees, I should say, battling through to the women's doubles final here. Two Lims already looking like they've got 1 foot, although that's a rare aerial point. Won very well by Ung Yixing. So much power on the shuttlecock there, and that's what won that point for Lim Ming Hui. They are creeping back into this though.
Yep.
Meg and Lee, aren't they? Lee and Ung pairing. No answer to that though, too clever. The cross-court play by Bernice Lim. And they're edging towards the finish line. You'll be able to see in a minute on the left-hand side of your screen the two doubles pairings to make up the final game of the day walking across.
Smooth smashes by Ming Hui.
She's mixed it up there, isn't she?
Yep.
Great mix of precision and power from Lim Ming Hui.
Really controlling the opponents.
They're throwing the kitchen sink at Lee and Ung here on this point. This will be a morale booster if the girls in blue can pick up the win here, and they can.
Goes long.
So that was a good point to win.
Megan and Yixing is slowly coming back.
But the reality with badminton, Kang, as I'm sure you know, it's about the quantity of points rather than the quality of points you win.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if you come out on top in the 30-shot rallies, you've got to dominate just as Lim Ming Hui has done with that smash put away there. 6 points from the finish line in the opening game. Make that 5. With Bernice Lim on serve. And that's been the difference between these two teams, the ability to win points on serve, as they've just illustrated there. Such a simple put away. The service return giving Bernice Lim far too much leeway.
Wow. What good placement by Bernice.
Right,
Right
a
there.
bit of wood on that initial smash. Outcome was still the same as that one drops long. Good leave from Lim Ming Hui.
Goes long.
Well, the early exchanges which suggested that the two Lims would absolutely race away with this has proved unfounded. What did we have, an 8-1 or 9-1 situation early? So it's come a little bit tighter in the second half of this first game.
A long shot.
And they've picked up another point there as well. You do get the feeling, again, has been the feature of some of these matches, that the seeded players have just got a couple more gears they can go through if they're really pushed. But nonetheless, when you bear in mind the ages of these two girls here, they've been very competitive, and that was actually a great lead, wasn't it? Went wide there.
5 point deficit.
Yeah, well, they've just won 3 on the spin. That's the first time they've done that in this game.
Yep.
Surely they can't make it 4. No, they can't. Too much power on that from Bernice Lim.
Mango and Yixing trying to fight back.
Into the net it goes. She'd want that one back. Lim Ming Hui. They just want to keep their concentration levels up here. All of a sudden, the gap's only 5. Remember, they had an 8-point lead early on.
Whoa.
But they will get 6 game points now. Remember, these two pairs battling it out for the right to take on Alexis Lee and Sabrina Lee, the unseeded duo that made the final with a big win over Lin Yuan and Lin Ruin moments ago on court number 2. They're underway in the final game of the day on court 2, the men's doubles between number 1 seeds Terry He and Lo Kian Hian and Kubo Junsuki and Wesley Ko. Number 1 seeds in action there in He and Hian, as they take out the first game 21-14. The number 1 seeds here, Bernice Lim and Lim Ming Hui. And difficult to see how they can battle into this game. But again, in terms of the long-range development of the two youngsters, Lee and Ung, there's been glimpses there that they've got the game. At the age they are at, you know, still in their relatively early teens, they're still going to develop physically. And there's a huge physical mismatch here. It's the biggest physical mismatch we've seen so far today, Kang.
Yep, definitely. There's a long way ahead for them. And they're developing very well, and we shall see what they can do, you know, for the Singapore sporting scene in the future.
Just having a chat with each other. Interesting to note that there's more conversation going on between Bernice Lim and Lim Ming Hui than there was between Lim Ming Hui and Danny Krishnanta earlier.
Bernice to serve.
So they lead by a game to 0, and they'll get the second game underway. Looking to try and close this out as rapidly as possible, one assumes. Nicely picked up by Eung Yi-shing there. Nice drop shot to the net. Bernice Lim. And it's dropped wide. And of course, a reminder, Lim Ming Hui and Krishnanta won the first game in the mixed doubles and went on to lose the match. It's the only game, just going through my scorecard, that we've seen on number 1 court at any rate that's gone the full 3 games. We had an absolute classic that we, as a bonus, gave you the closing stages of between Insira Khan and Jaslyn Yan, which the number 1 seed Jaslyn came through 24-22 in the third.
Wow, what a nice drop shot from Bernice, right on the line. Good recovery by Megan Yi-shing.
Not so much power being wielded by Lim Ming Hui, of course, in this second game. Remember, she's had a busy afternoon already.
Yep. It's nice to see Megan trying to move. Megan Yi-shing trying to move Bernice and Ming Hui around the courts.
Well, the great thing about this is they're not being overawed. It would have been easy for them to let their heads drop, particularly in that first game when they trailed 9-1 early, but they came back to be relatively competitive. You do get the feeling that the two Lims, Bernice and Ming Hui, though, are slightly playing in second gear.
Yep. Drop shot by Bernice.
High quality rally this. And there's definitely not as much power coming from Lim Ming Hui in this second game.
Oh.
Just as I say that, she
Yeah.
unleashes a thunderbolt. Again, I think she's playing within herself here. She's had a busy afternoon and she wants to conserve some energy from what I'm pretty certain they'll be confident of now is a final appearance tomorrow against Sabrina and Alexis Lee.
Pacing themselves really well, conserve energy.
Just comfortable, isn't it? I mean, we're talking about this second game being more competitive. The reality is they've still only won 1 point, Megan and Yi-shing.
Well,
look at that, and she's found a nice safe piece of cord as well. And it's a mirror image of what happened in the first game, really. They led 9-1, I think, from memory in that first. They're already 6-1 up here. And their ability to string 3 or 4 points together on serve, seemingly at will, is a huge difference maker. That one's dropped long as well. Nothing going right for them, because I don't think they'd have got there. It was a good thought. The execution just marginally off. That one's gone wide. So they'll get another point on the board.
goes out again. Points to Megan and Yi-shing.
You should be given a huge credit here, Megan Lee and Eung Yi-shing, because they're sticking to the task. They must think deep down it's a tough ask to get back into this, but they're plucking on. That's the first sign of real frustration we've seen from Megan Lee. There wasn't much frustration in her girls' semi-final or women's semi-final. It was more just pure exhaustion.
Fatigue's coming to play as well for both Megan and Yixing. Winning against such an experienced opponent.
Oh, that was really
nice.
well picked up. Lovely pick up from Bernie Slim there to bring up another point, and they're about to take the turn, seemingly with another unassailable lead. Service return just not good enough, and they are starting to fade away now. 10 points away from a place in the final, and having seen the #1 seed struggle in the first half of the afternoon, the #1 seeds have started to come good in the second half of the afternoon. Already Jaslyn Yan, the #1 seed, has battled really hard against Insara Khan to go through in the decided 24-22. She'll take on the #2 seed, Grace Chua. I think at the moment, I'm right in saying, in fact I know I'm right in saying, that'll be the only final tomorrow where the #1 and #2 seeds meet. The women's singles, with Grace Chua, #2 seed, beating Megan Lee, who we're seeing in action here in the women's doubles. She'll take on Jaslyn Yan. In the men's doubles, unseeded Alberto Zapatra and Pracoso take on fellow unseeded... Oh no, apologies, that's me getting my women's doubles and men's doubles mixed up. They could still take on the unseeded pair, the #1 seed of Terry He and Lo Kian Hian. They're in action at the moment on court 2. In a very close first game against Kubo Junsuki and Wesley Cohen here. Bernie Slim and Lim Ming Hui are edging closer and closer to taking on the winners of the other women's semi-final, which has already been played, Sabrina and Alex Lee, who completed their win in straight games against Lin Yuan and Lin Ruan about 15 minutes ago. That one goes into the net. Oh, she's had a fresh air shot there, just lost it in flight and just being consoled by Eun Yixing. Can't imagine what it's like for a 16-year-old Kang to have a big day like today when it's semi-finals, 2 semi-finals. A huge test against Grace Chua when she was outclassed ultimately, and now having to come back and take on another very high-class opponent in the pairing of Bernie Slim and Lim Ming Hui. And this second game is now racing away 14-4.
Yep, definitely immense pressure on Megan and Yixing to play against such a highly skilled opponent. And as well, but it's going to be a great experience for them as well to gain some on-court experience against such opponents.
Oh, that was really, really well intended from Bernie Slim. I thought for a minute that was going to drop in, but it's dropped out. I'm looking forward to getting home later and looking at the replay on that match point for Jaslyn Yan that I was convinced had dropped in for a moment. But must also, having caused a bit of controversy by saying that, applaud the wonderful work done by all the umpires and officials here, and of course the committee members and the organisers and the volunteers and the Singapore Badminton Association, who've done so much hard work to ensure these Singapore Sports Hub National Open Championships of 2021 go ahead. And of course, well, the added bonus is they go ahead pretty much exactly 12 months after the 2020 version. Not many sports championships can say that after the extraordinary year we've had. And when I've been wittering away, Kang, all of a sudden they've put up a run of points here, Lee and Eung, just as they did in the first game.
Yep.
Although there is surely too much to do now. 15-8 the score. Bernie Slim on serve. Can't win the service point on that occasion. They've got to try and find 5 or 6 points here on their own serve consecutively. And there's one of them. That's a rare fluff service return from Bernie Slim. And let's give credit to the serve as well from Eun Yixing there. That forced the mistake. Tried for the same again. But this time alive to it was Lim Ming Hui.
Well received by Megan.
Oh, look at that.
Nice
so casual
shot
from Lim Ming Hui there. And they've just got the girls in blue darting all over the court to just stay competitive in this point, and it will be put away there. Well, at least we now know one thing, and that is that Megan Lee can do the splits. That's confirmed. It was very graceful as well. 5 away, the number 1 seeds. Service error, and that was a good intuition as well by Eun Yi-shing to leave that.
Oh. What a return. Megan's serve went long as well.
Great to see so many people supporting all the players here on the Facebook page. Lim Hui, Hugh Lam, Alan Kwek, Edwin Tan is with us, Alan Kwek as well, Benedict Voon, Teo Song Kang, and Will Willard Peter Wee. All got their favourites. So Willard Peter Wee is certainly supporting Megan here, and both Megan and Eun Yi-shing have put on a impressive display, albeit looks like it's going to be in a losing effort. They stay competitive against national team players here.
Score now is 12-18. Yi-shing to serve.
Just delaying the inevitable here, and at times in this match Lim Ming Hui looks like she's just toying with them, in contrast to how hard she had to work at the start of the afternoon when she lost alongside Danny Krishnanta against Andy Kwak and Grace Chua. She's barely had to break sweat, and they might be about to bring up multiple match points.
Nice push from Bernice all the way to the red corner.
Rally. These two youngsters have got the shots, you know. I'll tell you what, if these two doubles pairings play each other again in 12 months' time, I wouldn't mind betting it's going to be much closer, but as it is, 8 match points for the number 1 seeds, Bernice Lim and Lim Ming Hui. Can they get it done at the first time of asking? And into the net it goes, so the first match point is saved. Just to let you know, in the first game over in the men's semi-final, it's gone the way of Terry He and Lo Kian Heen, 21 points to 16, so they're halfway through to booking their final slot against Sapatra and Prokoso tomorrow. Here, the game has been won on the second match point by Bernice Lim and Lim Ming Hui. They win 21-14, 21-13 against the youngsters Megan Lee and Eun Yi-shing, who put up a spirited display, but ultimately just unfortunately a tad outclassed. So that just about does it. Make sure you join us tomorrow from 2 p.m. Singapore time. It's GMT +8. The mixed doubles semi-final will be between Andy Kwak, Grace Chua, taking on Terry He and Elaine Chua. The men's singles final, Jason Tay, the defending champion, up against Vega Nawanda of Indonesia. The women's singles, Grace Chua, who we'll see in action twice tomorrow, up against number 1 seed Jaslyn Yan, who's got injury question marks over after an exhaustive display earlier on. And the mixed doubles final will be between the men's doubles, I should say, Albert Sapatra and Prokoso, taking on either Terry He and Lo Kian Hian or Junsuki and Co, and at the moment it's looking like it'll be the number 1 seeds in He and Hian. The women's doubles, Bernice Lim and Lim Ming Hui, the number 1 seeds through comfortably. They take on Sabrina and Alexis Lee, and all that remains now is to just sign off with Kang Niang. And Kang, what was your personal highlight of the day? I think for me, Grace Chua winning 2 semi-finals has to be up there. She played brilliantly with Andy Kwak and then dismissed Megan Lee with absolute disdain in the women's semi-final.
For me, will be Megan, who has played also two events for today. Even though she lost both matches, but she put out a really good fight and good fighting spirit throughout all these matches.
And keep an eye out tomorrow as well for the unseeded, just thrown together, men's pairing of Albert Sapatra and Bimo Prokoso, because they were very impressive in seeing off the number 2 seeds 11 and 11. That's it from the OCBC Arena for this semi-final Saturday. Do make sure you join us at 2 p.m. Singapore time tomorrow as we bring you all 5 finals live here from the Singapore Sports Hub National Open Badminton Championships of 2021. From Kang Nian and myself, stay safe this Saturday night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.